Week 3, Sunday football is here. How are we doing, everyone? It is going to be a fantastic day today. We are kicking off this live stream as always, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be live for at least the next 3 hours. A lot of fun games to talk through today. A lot of difficult start-sit decisions today. I can't tell you how many times I've tinkered with my top 25 wide receiver rankings this morning, guys. I have 35 players in there, I think, this week in my top 25 wide receiver rankings. Let's pull those up first. A lot of difficult start-sit decisions today. A lot of fun football games on our TV screens in a not too long. We're live on YouTube as always. Guys, if you're already in the YouTube live, make sure you've smashed that like button and that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. It will help the stream as we get going here. And if you're watching live on TikTok, smash the follow button as well. There's going to be a lot of Joshua Kelly questions today. And in most of them, I think I'm going to be telling you to start Joshua Kelly. In this one, I actually think I have Ramondre Stevenson 2 spots ahead of Josh Kelly in PPR. Half PPR, I think that gets a lot closer. But I do really like Josh Kelly today, and I think he really should be started in a lot of spots. I know he busted last week in a similarly good spot, but this is a better matchup for Josh Kelly this week against the Vikings than it was for the Chargers last week. Hey, Sam, love the streams. Thank you, Aaron. Everyone in the comment section in the streams, man, that gets me hyped as I'm getting ready for these streams every single Sunday morning. Lots of good games to get through. All right. I want to get to some of these early start-sit questions. Then we'll talk through game by game, of course, a little bit. I'll talk about some of my favorite players this week. We got the DraftKings lineup. We got some free player props today. And, of course, on the YouTube Live, I got my top 25 rankings, every single position. I got my top 15 quarterbacks, top 15 tight ends, and I top 35 really receivers this week, and top 25 running backs as well. James Conner, Terry McLaurin, PPR. Yeah, I don't feel too great about James Conner today against the Cowboys. The floor is just too low. I know McLaurin against the Bills, not the best spot for him either, but yeah, I take Scary Terry. I saw this one this morning. This got me hyped. 2 months to Thanksgiving. By far the best day of the year. Best holiday of the year, where we get football, we get family, and we get food all on the same day. I mean, it's just unreal. Can't wait for that. 2 months away. All right, we'll get to some more of these start sits. Yeah, Tank Dell definitely in play today, guys. Tank Dell's in play. The Tank Dell hype train is leaving the station today, and if you don't get on it, you might miss out. Let me pull up some Tank Dell stuff here. I do want to talk through him. I got a really difficult start sit decision in one of my leagues between Tank Dell and Elijah Moore, and I flip-flopped on this in my own league, I think at least 5 times this week. I'll talk through that decision and show that one on the YouTube Live as well. But yeah, I'm in on Tank Dell this week. I'm playing him over Elijah Moore right now in that league last week, guys. Let me show you on the YouTube Live. Let's just pull up these game logs for Tank Dell super quick. And then I will get back to the comments and some of the start sits. Tank Dell ran around 81% of dropbacks for the Texans last week. The last week was much different than week 1. Noah Brown was out last week. Noah Brown is again out this week. Noah Brown is on IR. Tank Dell is now playing basically every single passing play for the Houston Texans. He had 7 catches on 10 targets. The Texans have been one of the most pass-heavy teams in the NFL so far this season. I actually think the Patriots lead the league in pass attempts, but I believe the Texans actually lead the league in passing, the percentage of passing plays called in games. The Texans have been extremely pass heavy. He doesn't get to play the Colts this week, though. Jaguars are definitely a more difficult matchup. He did score a touchdown last week. Can't expect that every single week from Tank Dell. Meanwhile, Elijah Moore, his peripheral numbers actually look pretty good. Let me pull up Elijah Moore here. He just missed a few big catches last week against the Steelers, and now he gets to play the Titans, who are a really good matchup for receivers this season. Elijah Moore, he ran around on a similar amount of dropbacks to Tank Dell, 120 air yards, which is a lot. 23% target share, but yeah, he only had 3 catches, 36 yards, no touchdowns this season. Better matchup for Elijah Moore than Tank Dell. I still lean Tank Dell over Elijah Moore. I could flip up on that again, though, I think a million times. It's super close between those two guys. It is a great day to be great. It is going to be a fantastic football Sunday. Guys, shout out to every single one of you in the beginning part of this live stream because I'm going to be live for the next 3 hours. Most of the people you're playing against, I bet you they're not even up yet. They don't even know the latest news. Let me get you caught up on the latest news. Also, there is some important news for everybody to be aware of. Let me pull this up here. Okay. Here are the biggest injury news to be aware of this week. I will pull that up, make sure we're all on the same page there. There are a few good players out. So Jalen Waddle, he's out. Deion Jackson, guys, I can't begin to explain to you how many Deion Jackson questions I've gotten over the last 3 weeks. I've said bench to all of them, and now Deion Jackson is not even on the Colts anymore. He's waived. He's not even on the team. He'll get signed to the practice squad. That's probably where he belongs. DK Metcalf is expected to play. Isaiah Pacheco is expected to play. DeAndre Hopkins, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all going to play today, almost definitely. DK Metcalf, Pacheco, Hopkins, Nacua, St. Brown. I'm okay starting all of these guys. I actually really like Isaiah Pacheco this week. The Chiefs are 14.5, 15. They might even be 16.5 point favorites against the Bears this week. Really good spot for Pacheco. The only risk with him really was this injury, and if they limit him a little bit because of this hamstring injury, but he's supposed to play. I'm okay starting him as a top 24 running back this week. Let me pull up the running back rankings on the YouTube Live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, come to the YouTube Live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. It's a better viewing experience, I'm telling you. Got my wide receiver rankings. Had those up on the screen. Now I got my running back rankings up on the screen on the YouTube Live. They're going to answer a lot of start sits for a lot of people. All right, just going through the injury news a little bit more here. The guys that are questionable today. Technically still questionable. Kadarius Toney is technically still questionable. There was a report that came out last night that said he's probably going to play. There was another report this morning that said he's truly questionable. Whatever it is, guys, don't start Kadarius Toney this week. Maybe any weeks. We've been through the Kadarius Toney stuff. He's very good when the ball is actually in his hands, when he can actually clasp the ball, which he did better last week than week 1. But he's just not on the field enough. He's just not. He doesn't go on the field more than half the snaps. They just cannot trust him to stay healthy for more than half the snaps. And I don't even know if he's going to play. Anyways, Joe Burrow is, I think, on the wrong side of questionable. I would not expect him to play Monday night. I think you have to bench Joe Burrow. He doesn't play today. He plays Monday. He's not ruled out yet. But I see them holding him out for this game. The line right now is the Rams are still 2.5 point underdogs. I'm not sure if that's pricing in Joe Burrow not playing or not. I would kind of expect the Rams to be favorites without Joe Burrow playing in that game, but the Bengals are at home. But yes, bench Joe Burrow. I still think you have to start Jamar Chase, even without Joe Burrow playing in almost all situations. I still think you got to start Jamar Chase. All the Jamar Chase teams, you're struggling. You took him with the 2nd or 3rd overall pick. Has not been great so far. I think you still have to start him even without Joe Burrow. T. Higgins is a little bit of a different story, but he's still an okay start, in my opinion, even without Joe Burrow. Cordarrelle Patterson is questionable again this week. This might not seem like a big one until he's just stealing touchdowns and targets away from Bijan Robinson and or Tyler Algier. I think he's going to play, but he was questionable last week, and I thought he was going to play, and he did not. And then finally, the 2 other big questionable players. Aaron Jones is still questionable this week. We do not know if Aaron Jones is playing or not playing this week for the Packers. This is a pretty big one, obviously. If Aaron Jones sits, A.J. Dillon is once again a decent start. I know he hasn't been great in these games without Aaron Jones. It's not really a good matchup, though, for the Packers' run game against the Saints' run defense. Aaron Jones is a pretty risky start. I would start him over A.J. Dillon, though, for sure, if he plays. And I think A.J. Dillon is an absolute must bench, assuming Aaron Jones plays. But we don't know if he's going to play yet. I'm leaning towards he's going to play. Christian Watson, he's also questionable. I'm also leaning towards him playing. I think he's a really, really risky start, though, in his first game back. It's hard to see him getting this monster full workload in his first game back with a hamstring injury. I want to see what he looks like before starting Christian Watson. And there's still a chance Christian Watson does not play. He is truly questionable. Irv Smith's also out. That doesn't affect anybody. All right. That is the quick injury roundup. It's going to be a great Sunday. Let me pull up the tight end rankings. Guys, the tight end stuff today, you got to start Kyle Pitts. I'm ready for the Kyle Pitts questions. You have to start Kyle Pitts this week. I'm the only tight ends that I'm starting over Kyle Pitts this week. Travis Kelce, obviously. Mark Andrews, obviously. TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert. I think those should be obvious. Also, Evan Ingram, I also think it's pretty obvious. There is no Zay Jones this week for the Jaguars. That's pretty big for Calvin Ridley, pretty big for Christian Kirk, and kind of big too, I think, for Evan Ingram in what is not a terrible matchup for them against the Texans. So yeah, I like Evan Ingram this week. Those are the only 5 tight ends, though, that I think you should be playing over Kyle Pitts. Otherwise, you really have to start Kyle Pitts. I get not wanting to start Kyle Pitts. He's done nothing. What is it? Fantasy football is a "what have you done for me lately" type of game. But when we pull up the game logs for Kyle Pitts, and then we also look at the matchup for Kyle Pitts. So first of all, Kyle Pitts he's running a route basically every single drop back, and he's seen a fine target share, 17% target share each week. Air yards have been a little bit disappointing, and yeah, he only has 2 catches in each game. Last week, only 15 yards. Horrible fantasy performances. He's done nothing. But if we just look back a little bit here, guys, the upside for Kyle Pitts, he can easily go over a 30% target share in a given game. We've seen him go over 40% target shares in games. He has air yard numbers, 209 air yards in this game, week 9, last year against the Chargers, that you do not see from tight ends across the league. The ceiling for Kyle Pitts is why you need to start Kyle Pitts this week. It has nothing to do with the floor. Guys, the floor after all tight ends, after the top 5, the floor is basically 0 points. That's just the reality of tight ends. So you want to start tight ends that have a good ceiling, that can win you weeks. And Kyle Pitts can win you this week against the Detroit Lions. Guys, the Lions allowed over 100 receiving yards to tight ends last week against the Seahawks. Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, and Noah Fant went over 100 total yards combined against this Lions defense. Start Kyle Pitts this week. I think the ceiling is there. I think it makes a lot of sense. I have him in my DraftKings lineup this week. I think in general, people just hate Kyle Pitts enough that he actually makes a lot of sense in tournaments and places where you're really trying to hit those boom weeks. All right, let's get back to some of these start sits, guys. I'm amped. I've been waiting to get that Kyle Pitts stuff off my chest, and I'm ready, obviously, for the floor game to come from Kyle Pitts, but the ceiling game's out there. It's lingering for Kyle Pitts, and why not against the Detroit Lions, who have been horrible against tight ends this season. Hey, Sam, been here for 3 years with you, helped big time. Carlos, shout out to you, man. Shout out to everyone who's coming back to these live streams for a second, third year, second, third time, even second, third week. Shout out to everybody in these live streams right now. All right, can you help me? 14-man full PPR. Who to start? Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Sky Moore, Bateman, Sutton, Berrios. I know obviously Keenan has to start. Yeah, start Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's a top. I think he's my number. Pull the wide receiver rankings. Yeah, he's my number 4 wide receiver this week in PPR leagues. Guys, Keenan Allen has been balling in this Chargers-Vikings game. You want pieces of this game. You should be very excited about pieces in your lineup in this game. I got Justin Jefferson number 1 this week. Tough, obviously, between him and Tyreek. They're really both number 1. And then Keenan Allen is number 4. I have Mike Williams, I think, in my top 12 also. Justin Herbert, he's a top 6 quarterback this week. Kirk Cousins, I think, is a top 6 quarterback option in fantasy this week. I like Josh Kelly. I even like Alexander Madison. Jordan Addison, he's definitely startable this week as well with that ceiling. And TJ Hawkinson, too. Like all these guys. This game's going to be super, super exciting. Definitely the game I'm most excited to watch this week is the Minnesota Vikings against the Chargers. Plus, that game is in a dome, which always leads to more scoring. All right, so getting back to this question, do not start Sky Moore. I'm pretty out on Sky Moore this season. So far, he just has not been doing enough to get me excited. I know he scored a touchdown last week, and I know that he had 1 big catch last week. But, guys, he has 3 catches this season. That 0 catch game week 1, like his floor is 0 points. We've already seen his floor, and it's 0 points. It's a better matchup this week than last week against the Bears. He's out there a lot, so I get the exciting, like he's out there the most of all the Chiefs receivers. So I get being excited about that. But also his snap share went down last week. From 71% down to 59%. I don't know. I'm not feeling good about Sky Moore. I think the floor is too low to start him. I would bench him in this spot. I think I would play DJ Moore. And then I think I would probably go Sutton over Bateman. But it's close. OBJ is out this week too. That's definitely good news for Bateman. But yeah, I think I would go Sutton over Bateman this week. Happy Sunday, Sam. I can't believe I'm asking this Russ or Lamar today. Yeah, I can't really believe you're asking that either. Let me pull up my quarterback rankings. It actually is close, though, here in my quarterback rankings. I have Lamar at number 7, and then I have Russ at number 9. Russ is a pretty good option today. I'm okay starting Russell Wilson. I actually think Russell Wilson Jerry Jeudy stack. Really interesting one for DFS today. All right, guys. Russell Wilson's a good option, but we're not starting him over Lamar Jackson. The rushing upside there for Lamar. Pretty good, honestly, pretty good matchup for Lamar Jackson today. OBJ being out really doesn't change much, in my opinion, about Lamar. Okay, who do I start? Zach Ertz or Njoku? Yeah, I think I would lean. Let me look at these tight end rankings again. Oh, God, I got Ertz. My everything in my body says David Njoku. But yeah, Zach Ertz leads all tight ends in target share. Zach Ertz leads all tight ends in target share. He almost has a 30% target share in both games this year. And there's only 4 wide receivers that have done that. And they're a pretty elite group. Yeah, you kind of have to start Zach Ertz over Njoku. It doesn't feel right, but it is right. Pickens, Collins, or Zay Flowers. Yeah, God, this one's tough. And there's some really tough, I think, wide receiver decisions this week. And this is a good, Sean, this is a good decision, good situation to be in. Because I think George Pickens, Nico Collins, and Zay Flowers, all good options. All good options this week. I have George Pickens in my must-start category this week. Guys, George Pickens, if we pull up the game log here on the WalterPicks app, again, Pickens game logs last week should have you amped for what to expect from him with Deontay Johnson out. Guys, look at this. A 34% target share for George Pickens last week. I have him ranked number 17th in my wide receiver rankings. I actually think that is ahead of Zay Jones. And I believe that is also ahead of Nico Collins. It is. Yeah, so I would start George Pickens over Nico and Zay. Zay Flowers, not Zay Jones. Yeah, I have Zay Flowers and Nico back-to-back here in these rankings, 25 and 26. George Pickens well ahead of those guys. It's a good matchup for George Pickens this week against the Raiders. Raiders defense overall has not been good. It's also, guys, a lot of these weeks, Najee Harris is close to this must-bench list for me. This week is not one of those weeks. You got to be starting Najee Harris this week in a lot of spots, too. The Raiders defense has been horrible against running backs this season. I think they're dead last. I think the Raiders are dead last against running backs this season. I can confirm momentarily if that actually is the case. They're dead last against running backs this season. Guess who's second to last against running backs? It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got to feel really good about Josh Jacobs this week, too. I know he's been struggling. He's a must-start for sure. All right, let's get back to some of these start-sits. Would you start Josh Kelly or Jahmyr Gibbs? Do not bench Jahmyr Gibbs. Do not do it. The Jahmyr Gibbs blow-up game, I think I have Jahmyr Gibbs in my top. Yeah, he's my number 4 running back this week. And I can't emphasize this enough. You got to bench basically everybody for Jahmyr Gibbs. Especially if you're in a PPR league, it changes pretty dramatically. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of these players that your scoring settings matter a lot because Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get all of his fantasy production through the passing game. So in PPR, Jahmyr Gibbs, top 10 running back rest of the season in my eyes. There's no David Montgomery this week too, though. So really in all leagues, you got to be starting Jahmyr Gibbs. You just have to. There's no way around it. I'll pull up the Jahmyr Gibbs game logs on the YouTube live. Guys, again, if you watch live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live. I'm telling you. It's right in the TikTok bio. You're 2 clicks away from the YouTube live. And it's a better viewing experience. I can pull up comments on screen and I can share my computer screen on the YouTube live and I can share game logs. So come to the YouTube live if you're watching live on TikTok. Plus you get my top 25 rankings every position on the YouTube live. But guys, look at this Jahmyr Gibbs. He's number 5 in the Walter app rankings. He's number 4 in my rankings this week. This receiving profile from him in week 2, this is why we were drafting Jahmyr Gibbs as high as we were drafting him. He ran around on over half of the dropbacks for the Lions last week. He had 9 targets, 27% target share. By far the biggest target share we've seen from running back this season. He caught 7 of those for 39 yards. There's going to be games, guys, where he has 100 receiving yards. And why not this week? The Falcons defense is a much tougher defense for him this week than the Seahawks defense was. I think he'll get more carries this week too. I saw a report out there. Maybe he gets close to 15 carries this week. But yeah, really it's this pass game role, this receiving game role for Jahmyr Gibbs has me amped. And it should have everyone who has Jahmyr Gibbs amped. I'm definitely holding on to Jahmyr Gibbs really tightly in fantasy. And look down the stretch too, this schedule he has down the stretch is also looking pretty exciting. In the fantasy football playoffs, looks like he has at least 2 matchups against bottom 10 defenses. So yeah, you got to start Jahmyr Gibbs this week. You got to start Jahmyr Gibbs basically every single week. All right, let's get to some of these tougher start sits now in the TikTok live. Shout out to everybody in the TikTok live, in the YouTube live. We are live for Sunday football. We got so many start sits to get through. All right, Lockett or Michael Thomas at flex, full PPR. Yeah, I lean towards Lockett this week over Thomas. Not a great matchup for the Saints receivers. I still like Chris Olave this week. I think he's a must start basically every single week, but maybe not a great spot here for Michael Thomas. I do like Zay Flowers. This week is my number 25 ranked wide receiver. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, come to the YouTube live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 25 wide receiver rankings up on the screen right now. Morning, Sam. Start Taysom Hill or a waiver pickup over D-Hop. I was hoping we would see some Taysom Hill questions this week, and I do have him number 12 in my tight end rankings this week. But guys, Kendre Miller is back this week. I think he'll probably lead the Saints backfield in touches. You're not starting Taysom Hill over DeAndre Hopkins. You're not starting a waiver pickup over DeAndre Hopkins. You got to start DeAndre Hopkins. He was a must bench for me last week because I thought he was going to be really, really limited. I actually thought he literally might be used as just a decoy last week. That was not the case, but he still was a good bench last week. But he has another week under his belt to get closer to full health. I'm starting Hopkins against the Browns. Hopkins goes against his old teammate. Another really interesting storyline in a game that is another super exciting game this week, the Lions versus the Falcons. We got Bijan Robinson versus Jahmyr Gibbs this week, the two running backs taken in the top 12 picks of the NFL draft. That's going to be fun to watch for sure. Pickens or DK Metcalf. Yeah, I have George Pickens ahead of DK Metcalf this week, and this one feels wrong. It doesn't feel right to start George Pickens over DK Metcalf, but DK Metcalf, he was questionable this whole week with a rib injury that he played through at the end of last game. He's going to play today. But George Pickens, without Deontay Johnson, 34% target share. He gets a better matchup than DK Metcalf gets today. You got to start George Pickens. I think you have to start George Pickens in almost all spots. Higgins or Pittman. Yeah, I'm starting Michael Pittman over T. Higgins this week for sure. I think that's a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer to start Michael Pittman Jr. this week, even with there's no Anthony Richardson this week, but that's not going to be, shouldn't be that bad of an impact, honestly, for Michael Pittman Jr. All right, Christian Kirk or Gabe Davis. Got to be Christian Kirk over Gabe Davis this week. Got to be Christian Kirk over Gabe Davis. I would go James Cook over Drake London. I think with a lot of ease. You got to feel pretty good about James Cook. Let's pull up those game logs on the YouTube live too, guys. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, shout out to all of you. Explain your Kyle Pitts. Let me go on the Kyle Pitts rant for a second here too. I already did that, but I'm going to go on that rant again, probably many times on this live stream. But really quickly, I'm just pulling up the James Cook game log on the YouTube live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, I'm telling you, you're 2 presses of your finger away from the YouTube live. It's right in the TikTok bio. And it is a better viewing experience where I can share my computer screen to a lot of things I'm talking about, like the James Cook leaving the hype train. The hype train is left for James Cook. It's a tougher matchup. He got to play the Raiders last week. By the way, that's why you kind of have to play Najee Harris. Jalen Warren's not bad either. I actually think I have them back-to-back in my rankings. But Najee Harris is a better play than Jalen Warren still. He's probably going to get more carries still. He still has the better chance of the touchdowns. That's Najee Harris against the Raiders, who are bottom 5 run defense. But yeah, James Cook, man, 17 carries, 7.2 yards per carry last week. Plus, he smashed his lock of over 2.5 receptions. That line was set way too low. 4 catches in each game this year. He's running a lot of routes, man. James Cook is looking like a top 15 running back in fantasy. But the tough thing with James Cook is he's not going to score that many touchdowns because he comes off the field in the goal line situations. So he's going to be really, really good. The usage is going to look great. He just might not score very many TDs. He has 0 TDs this season. I wouldn't feel great betting on him to score TD today. But yeah, you can feel pretty good that he's going to get close to 15 carries and close to 4 catches every single week in a really good offense. So yeah, I feel pretty good about James Cook overall. All right, let's go on the Kyle Pitts rant again. Let's do the Kyle Pitts thing one more time because you really have to start Kyle Pitts. If you don't have Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, or Evan Ingram, you got to start Kyle Pitts. Let me see if I can find a Kyle Pitts question here in the YouTube live to pull up any Kyle Pitts questions in the YouTube live. I know I saw some in the TikTok live. I'll get to this one in a second, Kylo. Here's why you got to start Kyle Pitts. Because almost every single tight end, the floor for them, the worst case scenario for them is basically 0 points. It's close to 0 points. I don't think this is true for Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, or Evan Ingram. Like their floor is above 0 points for sure. And then after that, we really venture into some really, really low floors. Like maybe Zach Ertz, his floor, his target share has been pretty high. Maybe you could talk yourself into, all right, let's lock in 8 points at the tight end position. But that's not the mentality I have for fantasy football. The mentality I have is if the floor is already extremely low, you better have the highest ceiling humanly possible. And that is what Kyle Pitts gives us this week, guys, an extremely high ceiling. We have very few tight ends in the history of the NFL in the last 5 years that have done some of the things that we have seen Kyle Pitts do. He has multiple games in his career over a 40% target share. He was number one among all tight ends last year in air yard share for his team. The problem is the Falcons often don't throw enough, but they're playing the Detroit Lions this week. They could be behind in this game against a bad defense. Not only is this a bad defense, guys, the Lions defense is bad against tight ends. They've been one of the worst defenses against tight ends so far this year. They allowed over 100 yards to tight ends last week against the Seahawks, against 3 different pretty average overall tight ends. Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, Noah Fant, all worse than Kyle Pitts, totaled over 100 yards. Kyle Pitts back-to-back games with a 17% target share this year. That hasn't meant very many targets because the Falcons haven't thrown that much. But yes, the ceiling is extremely high for Kyle Pitts this week. The ceiling for Kyle Pitts this week is finishing as the number one overall tight end this week. In a week with Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews playing. That is still his ceiling. And that's why you have to start Kyle Pitts this week. And that's why I'm starting Kyle Pitts in DraftKings tournaments this week. All right, good morning, Sam. Happy week 3. Coming off a nice win. Thanks to you. Always goated advice. Kyler, shout out to you as well for always hopping in these lives. All right, Goff, Dak, or Cousins. Pick one. PPR. It's got to be Kirk Cousins. Has to be Kirk Cousins this week. Let me pull up the QB rankings here again. Guys, Kirk Cousins, he's a top 5 option this week. Kirk Cousins is looking like a league-winning quarterback so far this season. Let's pull up the Kirk Cousins game logs super quick here because he's been balling, and it's a good spot for him again against the Chargers, where, don't forget, week 1, Chargers got destroyed in the passing game from Tua. And, man, these numbers from Kirk look exciting. Back-to-back games for Kirk, over 340 passing yards. He has 6 passing touchdowns in 2 games this season. Only 1 interception. Now he gets the Chargers, who are another fantastic matchup against an offense that can be beating the Vikings. I actually am taking the Chargers in this game. I think this game is a really tough one to pick. Really close spread. Should be a close game. Should be a high-scoring game. You got to love Kirk Cousins for sure this week. I like Kirk Cousins. All right. PPR, Burks, Flowers, Gabe Davis, Ford, or Josh Kelly. I'm pretty nervous for Jerome Ford this week. I think he's going to get the bulk of the work. I definitely don't think Kareem Hunt is going to get very many touches this week in his first game back with the Browns, but this is not a good matchup for Jerome Ford. It just isn't. It's not a good matchup for him. I honestly think that I would play Joshua Kelly over Gabe Davis, over Treylon Burks. It's a little closer against Zay Flowers in a PPR league, but I'm going Josh Kelly over Zay Flowers too. I like Josh Kelly against the Vikings. Again, that game should be high scoring, and Josh Kelly's getting minimum 15 touches in this game. I mean, minimum. With Austin Eckler out. We saw it last week. He didn't do great on those touches in a tougher matchup last week. Not as tough of a matchup for him this week against the Vikings. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like button. We're just getting started. I'm going to get to all the start sits as I can. We're going to talk to every single game, basically every single player over the next few hours. Hit the like button. Seriously helps me so much. Same thing on TikTok. Smash the like button. Hit the follow button. And guys, as always, the number one way you could possibly support me is by checking out the WalterPicks app. Check it out. It's free to download. It's free to install on both Android and the iOS App Store. It's going to help you with all your start sits. It's going to help you with all your trade decisions. Sam, who do I start in flex? Chase, Mike Williams, Calvin, or Kelly? I also have Madison. Yeah, no benching Calvin Ridley this week. Do not do it. And I like a lot of these guys. I even in my wide, let's see where I have Calvin versus Mike Williams in my wide receiver rankings. And yeah, I do have Calvin ahead of Mike Williams. All right, I saw Weatherman Sam call, so I got to scroll up to this in the YouTube live and pull this up because there is some weather today. There is some weather. Najee or Hopkins? I would go Najee this week over Hopkins. I would. Let me try to find the Weatherman Sam comment. DK Metcalf or Jacoby Myers? I'm going Jacoby over DK Metcalf this week. I'm just gonna do it myself because I can't find it. But there is some weather to be aware of, so I do want to call this out at the front here. So there's a storm going through the East Coast right now, and it could have been much worse for Weatherman Sam report today. There's really only one game though to report on today. There's just one game, and man, do I do want to spend some time talking about this game today because this is a big one. There's a couple big games, like make or break games for the season for some teams that are 0-2, and this is one of them. One game today that the weather is going to impact the game, almost definitely. The Patriots versus the Jets. There's not only going to be precipitation, some consistent rain in this Patriots-Jets game today, there's also going to be sustained winds up to 15 miles an hour, and there's going to be gusts, guys. There's going to be wind gusts above 25 miles an hour in this game, and that is concerning for either team being able to throw the ball. Obviously, this was going to be a defensive matchup already. I mean, I honestly think that the defense on both defenses today for the Jets and Pats, they're probably going to score more points than the offenses. We have two very good defenses. The Pats are without three of their top four starting corners. I don't think that matters too much against the Jets. It definitely is good for Garrett Wilson in general. But then you add in this wind component and the rain component, and yeah, neither team's going to be able to move the ball at all. Ramondre Stevenson is the only player on the Patriots I would start in fantasy today, and Garrett Wilson's the only player on the Jets I would start in fantasy today, and I don't even feel great about Garrett Wilson, given the weather expectation against the Patriots. Zach Wilson is not going to be able to do well against Bill Belichick, and the season's on the line here for the Pats. It's on the line kind of for the Jets too, and the Jets are 3-point underdogs in this game. But man, if the Pats lose to the Jets, 0-3 start to the season, they're done. I mean, they're out. They're out for the season. They might as well tank for Caleb Williams at that point. All right, let's get to some more of these questions. Hunter Henry. Yeah, Hunter Henry is startable. He's startable. He's another startable Patriot. But I do think this weather is not good for him either. It's probably like not as bad. The weather is probably not as bad for Hunter Henry as it is, say, Devontae Parker or Kendrick Bourne, who run a little bit more of those deep routes. It's going to be hard to throw the ball deep in this game with wind gusts over 25 miles an hour and rain. I still have Hunter Henry, I think. Yeah, he's my number 8 tight end. I would start Kyle Pitts over him with a lot of ease. I would start Sam Laporta over him too. Zach Ertz maybe should be started over Hunter Henry also, honestly. And then I guess Hunter Henry's probably next. Hunter Henry is number 1, guys, in fantasy points per game at the tight end position, which is absolutely amazing. He's my most drafted tight end in best ball. But yeah, I don't feel great overall about Hunter Henry. Jerome Ford or Kareem Hunt? Got to be Jerome Ford. Got to be Jerome Ford. Breece, Javonte. Yeah, it's just so tough to start Breece, guys. I'm starting Kelly over Breece. I'm starting Javonte over Breece. I'm starting Kelly and Javonte over Brian Robinson. Getting to that question. Should I start Ertz or Pitts? You got to start Kyle Pitts. You got to start Kyle Pitts. It's Kyle Pitts this week, guys. He gets the Lions. They're the second or third worst defense against tight ends. They allowed over 100 yards to tight ends last week. Addison or Gibbs? There's no benching Gibbs. No benching Gibbs today. Need help. Got too many mid running backs. James, you're definitely not alone here in having too many mid running backs. This is what fantasy has been a little bit this season. Connor, Kelly, Madison, Moss, full PPR. Sit 1. Yeah, you're sitting either James Conner or Zach Moss here. Zach Moss, his workload was really elite. Let's compare James Conner and Zach Moss super quickly here. I think you got to start Josh Kelly and Alexander Madison, though. Let me pull the running back rankings here again on the YouTube Live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, come to the YouTube Live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. You have my top 25 rankings every single position. You got to start Jamar Chase. I think you got to start Jamar Chase. I get not wanting to start Jamar Chase, but there's a reason he went second or third overall in your fantasy draft, and it is because Jamar Chase can explode any given week, even without Joe Burrow. I really think you got to be starting him every single week, almost no matter what. Okay. We got James Conner and Zach Moss. And yeah, it's close. I think Walter's saying Zach Moss here. James Conner has only a 0.5% chance to go over 25 points this week. Zach Moss at least has a little bit higher of a chance to do that. The bust percentage, though, is higher for Zach Moss than James Conner, so definitely a close one. Two difficult matchups here, though, and yeah, you got to bench James Conner. You can't play James Conner against the Cowboys. They're number one against running backs this season. Guys, the Cowboys are averaging 4.6 points per game to running backs. Nothing. Basically nothing. Yeah, so you gotta go Zach Moss over James Conner. I think you guys said James Conner in this one after looking a little deeper into that one. Kirk Cousins or Lamar Jackson today. Oh, man, it feels wrong to say Kirk Cousins here, but it's Kirk Cousins against the Chargers because you look at what the Chargers defense has done this season, and you look at what Kirk Cousins has done this season, and Kirk Cousins has an extremely high floor and extremely high ceiling this week. Guys, week 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers, Tua goes for 466 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. That's within Kirk Cousins' range of outcomes today, for sure. Week 2, Ryan Tannehill comes into town against the Los Angeles Chargers, and he goes for 246 passing yards and a touchdown, over 20 fantasy points. Back-to-back games now, the Chargers have allowed over 20 fantasy points to quarterbacks. You got to feel good about that for Kirk Cousins, who himself has gone over 20 fantasy points in each game to start the season. So yeah, start Kirk Cousins. Actually, he went 17.5 points, depending on your settings, in week 1, but he had almost 30 points last week against the Eagles. Start Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a super safe play. I like Lamar against the Colts also, but I think Kirk is better. Schultz or Henry? Yeah, I go Hunter Henry over Schultz. Gus Edwards or Zach Moss? I would go Zach Moss over Gus Edwards. I don't hate Gus Edwards this week, though. Ravens are big favorites against the Colts. Start Madison or Pacheco? Oh, yeah, this one's tough. And I expected a lot of Alexander Madison questions today. We're going to pull this one up, too. I think I would probably rather start Pacheco. I'm a little nervous about Pacheco just because he was questionable for this game with a hamstring injury. So how much work will they really give him? And the workload for Madison has been good. It has been good. The peripheral numbers for Madison have been good. I know Cam Akers, he's on the Vikings all of a sudden now. I don't think he's going to play this week, though. Walter's telling us Alexander Madison. If this is a PPR league, there's no scoring settings given here from Jake. If this is a PPR league, I do think Madison is probably better. If we switch this, though, to non-PPR, just to show you guys an example here, I have a feeling Pacheco, yeah, it's a little bit closer in non-PPR. Still, Madison wins out. That game should be pretty high scoring. It's Alexander Madison over Isaiah Pacheco this week. Pacheco does have the better matchup, though, man. I really like the floor for Pacheco in this game, assuming he gets his normal workload. That is kind of the scary part with Pacheco. He is technically questionable for this game. He had 12 carries last week. If he can get 12-plus carries in this game, I think you're going to want to have started Pacheco. And he should. He should get 12-plus carries in this game, assuming full health. Against the Bears, the Chiefs are massive favorites in this one, and the Bears have been horrible against the run. It looks like this is actually maybe the best or second-best matchup Pacheco should get all season right now. But yeah, it's still Madison. It's still Madison in a PPR league. You still got to start Alexander Madison. We're live on TikTok, guys. We are live on YouTube. We're going to be live for the next 2 hours at least. We're going to get through every single game. We're going to get through all the start sits. If I don't get to your start sit, the best place to go is the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store. If you're looking at the WalterPicks app right now on the YouTube Live, this is what you get for free in the iOS and Android app store. If you go download the WalterPicks app, link is in the YouTube description. Link is in the TikTok bio. All right, I want to get to the DraftKings lineup. I want to get to the free player prop. Then we'll get back to some of the start sit advice. All right, I got my wide receiver rankings and running back rankings scrolling at the bottom of the screen too on the YouTube Live. Top 25 rankings free on the YouTube Live. Link is in the TikTok bio for that too. I just saw a question: who's the best defense this week? I really like the Pats defense this week, and I really like the Jets defense this week too. Both defenses should be really, really good for fantasy this week. I have the Patriots defense though in my DraftKings lineup this week. All right, we cashed in week 1. We missed in week 2. We're playing tournament lineups here, so we're going to have more misses than hits, but we need the hits to get close to the top of the tournaments. That's the key for tournaments. That's why you have to build lineups with extreme upside, and you want to build lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel in these tournaments that you don't think that are going to have players that a lot of other people aren't playing. And that's why you got to stick Kyle Pitts in the tournament lineups this week. The Kyle Pitts boom game is coming, and it's coming this week. The Detroit Lions allowed over 100 receiving yards to tight ends last week. Kyle Pitts ran a route on 100% of the passing plays for the Falcons last week. Jonnu Smith gets more receiving yards than him, though. This is what we're going to get from Kyle Pitts. We're going to get some really, really big bust weeks from Kyle Pitts. The floor is low, but the ceiling is high, and that's what matters in tournaments, and that's what matters, honestly, for start-sit decisions in general for tight ends, like after the top 5 tight ends. Just give me the guy with the highest ceiling, and that's Kyle Pitts. So yes, start Kyle Pitts this week, and I'm starting him in my DraftKings lineup this week, and I'm stacking Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson. We could see a massive, massive game from Justin Jefferson. Guys, on DraftKings and FanDuel in tournaments this week, you have to have Justin Jefferson or you have to have Tyreek Hill. I would not play a tournament lineup without at least one of those guys. They're the top 2 priced receivers, but they can the ceiling for those 2 guys is just so astronomically higher than all the other players in fantasy, especially the receivers. It's just not even close. We saw it from Tyreek in week 1. We could see it again from Tyreek this week. We could see it from Justin Jefferson, who still has not scored a touchdown this season. He's gotten back-to-back games over 150 receiving yards. I think he would be the first player ever to start the season with 3 games straight over 150 receiving yards. When he does it today, he's going to do it today, probably. Justin Jefferson will go over 150 yards for 3 straight games to start the season. And yeah, I'm stacking him with Kirk, and I'm running it back with Mike Williams, another really high ceiling play this week against the Vikings. Haven't seen many start sits with him. He's a top 12 wide receiver for me this week. Start Mike Williams for sure. I'm, of course, running Jahmyr Gibbs in my RB1 slot in this lineup because I think his ceiling is super, super high with the target shares we've seen from him last week. No David Montgomery this week for the Lions. I am all in on Jahmyr Gibbs this week. Javonte Williams, I think there's a ceiling there for him against the Dolphins in what could be a high-scoring game. I had to pay down for some running backs with some of these other guys I'm forcing into this lineup. And then Elijah Moore, I like him against the Titans this week. Air yards were there last week. I think he has a pretty high ceiling. And then Tank Dell, I'm in on him also. And also, I am doing a little bit here of I had to decide between Elijah Moore and Tank Dell in one of my high-stakes fantasy leagues. So in my DraftKings lineup, I'm just going to start both of them because I like both of them. And I don't have to decide on DraftKings between the 2. But yeah, I like both guys this week. I'm leaning towards Tank Dell over Elijah Moore. It's a close one, though. Super, super close. And I do think Elijah Moore's floor is maybe a little bit better. Samster, happy week 3. Start 1. Kyron Williams, James Cook, Rachaad White, or Joshua Kelly. Yeah, we aren't benching Kyron Williams this week, guys. We can't do it. You just can't do it. You got to start Kyron Williams in almost all situations. Let me pull up the running back rankings. I have Kyron Williams ranked number 7 running back this week. I made a trade for Kyron Williams in one of my leagues this week. My first trade of the season. Felt pretty good about that. Gave up Gabe Davis, Tutu Atwell, brought in Kyron Williams. I felt pretty good overall about that. And I think the second one here is Josh Kelly. It's Josh Kelly versus James Cook. I would play probably both them over Rachaad White. And yeah, Josh Kelly to me is a better play than James Cook this week. I do really like Josh Kelly. I know a lot of people are nervous after last week for Josh Kelly, but yeah, the touches are going to be there for him. And the only problem with James Cook, the only reason James Cook is where he is in these rankings. And I actually think I got to move. I'm going to adjust these rankings a little bit. I got to move James Conner down, I think, a tiny bit here in these rankings after looking through this a little bit more. But the only reason James Cook is where he is, he's not going to score touchdowns. He has to. The only way that James Cook can score touchdowns is if he breaks off a really long touchdown run, because he's not going to get the goal line carries. They've already made that really clear this season, and it really does limit his ceiling. I really like James Cook in general, the usage, the target share, the carry numbers, good offense. He went over 100 rushing yards last week, 4 catches, back-to-back games. But yeah, I think Josh Kelly's a better play this week, and I think Kyron Williams is too. All right, let's get back to some of these. Why Olave not top 35? No, he is. He is, right? Wait, I think he was in here. Was he in here? Wait. Looks like he is not in here. You're right. Let's get him in here. I think you should be right around here. That's a good catch. Appreciate you. Got 36 now. And these receivers are tough. Tough decisions here for a lot of these receivers. But Olave really, it's a bad matchup for Olave. You still have to start Olave in almost all spots. Thank you for catching this. This is why I appreciate the comment section. And as always, guys, I don't suffer from take lock. I'm not afraid to change my rankings midstream. I'm really not afraid to do it. If I see new information or I catch a mistake, I'm gonna fix it live. I'm gonna just fix it. All right, start 2. Tank Dell, Elijah Moore, Cortland Sutton. God, this one's tough. This one's really tough. I think you got to bench Cortland Sutton. I think I would bench Cortland Sutton. I would start Tank Dell and Elijah Moore over Cortland Sutton. I actually do like Jerry Jeudy this week. I think Sutton's ceiling is okay, but with Jeudy back, I think the floor for Sutton's getting a lot lower. I'm okay benching him. Hey Sam, I'm new here. I'm looking for your advice in starting Kendre Miller or Craig Reynolds. My RBs are hurting right now. Anyone who's in this live stream for the first time, shout out to you, and thank you for joining. Kendre Miller should be started over Craig Reynolds this week. At least there's some intriguing upside there. I think Craig Reynolds probably leads the Lions in carries this week, even though it should be Jahmyr Gibbs. But yeah, I'd play Kendre Miller over Craig Reynolds this week. Happy Sunday, bro. Need help, Fields or Goff? Full PPR. Does not matter full PPR for the QBs, but I appreciate the context nonetheless. Let's pull up the QB rankings here because this one is close, and I think it's Justin Fields. Sorry, I think it's Jared Goff. Excuse me. I think it's Jared Goff. Justin Fields is a guy I like starting in fantasy. I like in fantasy in general because of the rushing. But man, is this a bad matchup. A bad matchup here for Justin Fields this week. The Chiefs guys, you would think they maybe would be a good matchup for fantasy because they score a lot of points and force the other teams to pass a lot. Guys, the Chiefs have allowed the 5th fewest points per game to quarterbacks this season. Jared Goff had just 14 points against the Chiefs in week 1. Trevor Lawrence only had 9 fantasy points against the Chiefs in week 2. Justin Fields, he could go for negative points today, if we're being honest. Like, that's how low the floor is for Fields. Fields had 15 points in week 1, 16 points in week 2, but this is by far the most difficult matchup he has. This is not a good matchup for the Bears. This team, the Chiefs defense, matches up really well against the Bears offense. They have a really strong defensive line. They are going to destroy the Bears offensive line in this game. So yeah, I don't feel great about Fields this week. I still have him as a top 14 option because of the rushing. But yeah, I like Goff more than Fields. Hey Sam, start 2. Half PPR, Rachaad White, Madison, Josh Kelly, T. Higgins. It's Madison. It's Josh Kelly. It's Madison and Josh Kelly over Rachaad White and T. Higgins this week. I think you got to start Jamar Chase. I really don't feel as strongly about T. Higgins. I would start Drake London over T. Higgins as well. Hey, Sam, year 3 getting tips from you and Walter. Adam, shout out to you, man. James Cook or Moss in half PPR league. Oh, God. Yeah, I have Zach Moss. I think 1 or 2 spots ahead of James Cook, and I don't feel great about it. Half PPR, I think it makes a little bit more sense. But again, with James Cook, he's not going to score many touchdowns. He's just not. He's not getting the goal line work. Zach Moss was on the field basically the entire game. Let's compare these two guys in the WalterPicks app too, because I have a feeling this one's going to be close. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, come to the YouTube live. I'm telling you, it's a better viewing experience. It's a better viewing experience on the YouTube live. You get my top 25 rankings every position, and I can share screen on the YouTube live. We're going to do a Zach Moss comparison here with James Cook, and I do think Walter is going to agree with me on this ranking, and he does. Zach Moss projected 13 points. Zach Moss gets the Ravens. Both have similar matchups, honestly, this week. But yeah, we pull up the game logs here for Zach Moss. And guys, Zach Moss, he didn't come off the field. 98% snap share. He had 18 carries last week. It was against the Texans. Obviously, that's a ideal matchup for Zach Moss. But he also he ran a route on 91% of the dropbacks last week for the Colts. 13% target share for him, 4 catches. And yeah, he did score a touchdown. He's going to get the goal line carries, unlike James Cook. So yeah, I think Zach Moss over James Cook is fine. I think it's fine. I don't feel super great about it, but I think it's fine. Good morning, Sam. Good morning to you, Brandon. Good morning, all of you. Guys, we're just getting started here. We got multiple hours left in this live stream. Need help with my flex. Najee or Javonte? Oh, God, this one's another tough one. I want to start Najee Harris this week. I got my running back rankings at the bottom of the YouTube live right now. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live. Our link is right in the TikTok bio. I have Javonte Williams at 20 and Najee Harris at 21, back to back here in my rankings. The matchup for Najee is good. It's a good matchup for. Let's do this comparison too. I want to see what Walter says about this one in the range of outcomes here for Najee and Javonte, because it is a really good matchup for Najee. It's an okay matchup, I think, for Javonte Williams. And I know Najee has really, really struggled. And I know Jaylen Warren has looked a lot better than him. And yet Javonte does get a slight edge from Walter here too. A slightly lower boom probability, but a better bust probability for Javonte. So he's a little bit safer. I kind of do agree with that. Javonte Williams he's still not going to be seeing like this massive workload. They're not giving Javonte Williams a workhorse role. We pull up the game logs here. They want to ease him in. He's coming off a really tough knee injury from last season where he tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL. Like really tough knee injury. And he's coming back and he's actually looked pretty good. Yards per carry numbers don't look great here, but he saw 13 carries week 1, 12 carries week 2. He's really not running that many routes, but when he is running routes, he's getting targets. He has 9 targets this season. And yeah, the Dolphins are a good matchup this week. Meanwhile, Najee Harris, we pull up these game logs. For Najee Harris, I mean, just brutal stuff from him. He continues to just not be able to make explosive plays. He's done nothing in the passing game. It's Javonte. Javonte's got the better matchup. Javonte's looked better this season. Javonte's in the game that I think will be higher scoring too. I go Javonte Williams over Najee Harris. Both are decent options. Pacheco or Nico Collins. Yeah, I like Nico Collins a lot this week. I think you got to start Nico Collins. Yo, Sam, Olave, Dell, or Evans. Pick 2 full PPR. So let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here because I changed those. I put Olave in there, caught that he wasn't in there. That was my bad. He obviously should be in the top 25 wide receiver rankings every single week. It's not a good matchup for Olave against the Packers. Their defense has been good. Secondary has been good. But I still think the usage for Olave warrants him being started in almost all spots, including this one. I would start Olave and Mike Evans over Tank Dell. You got to feel pretty good, guys, about what we've seen from Mike Evans so far this season. He's my number 12 wide receiver this week. Should I try to trade start Drake London and Najee Harris? That one, I think I would probably go Najee. White or Najee? Yeah, I like Rachaad White more than Najee. What's up, Sam? Pick one. Aaron Jones, Chris Godwin, Lockett, or Jerome Ford in a PPR league. Oh, man. It's tough to start Aaron Jones coming off the injury. If he wasn't coming off an injury, I feel like this one would be Aaron Jones pretty easily. Chris Godwin, I would not start Jerome Ford in this one, Carlos. I think this one's between the first 3 players here. Aaron Jones, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett. I'd prefer not to start Jerome Ford this week if possible. I think the workload's going to be good. The usage is going to be good, but it's a tough matchup. Titans' defensive line is very good, and their secondary is not good. The Titans are one of these pass funnel defenses where it just does not make sense to run against them. The Buccaneers are another one of these defenses. We get to see the Eagles play them this week. That's going to be a fun one. The Eagles are also one of those defenses where the defensive line is so good. Secondary is just okay. So you almost have to pass against these defenses. And that is the case for the Titans as well for Jerome Ford's matchup this week. Let's look at these wide receiver rankings here. I think I have both Chris Godwin and Tyler Lockett. Let's put the running back rankings here. I have Tyler Lockett ranked number 19th, and I have Chris Godwin 23. If Aaron Jones plays, I think the answer here is Aaron Jones. If Aaron Jones doesn't play, I would go Tyler Lockett, and then I would go Chris Godwin. Then I would go Jerome Ford. That's my final answer on this one. Yo, Sam, full PPR flex. Christian Kirk or Christian Watson? Yeah, go Kirk. Go Christian Kirk. No Zay Jones this week. Keep getting the Zays confused. No Zay Jones this week. That's huge for Christian Kirk. Let's see what Christian Watson's workload looks like coming off his hamstring injury. He might not even play still. There's still a chance Christian Watson does not play. Zay Flowers or Jacoby Myers PPR? It's pretty close. It's a close one. I think I have Jacoby ahead of Zay Flowers, though, in my rankings. Kyle Pitts or Hunter Henry? Got to be Kyle Pitts this week. It's got to be Kyle Pitts. Zach Ertz is okay. He's okay. He's got a high floor. He's leading all tight ends in target share this season. Godwin or Pickens? Yeah, I'd go Pickens over Godwin. Hey, good morning. Jordan Addison, Garrett Wilson, or Tyler Lockett. Also, what's up with Amon-Ra's injury? Yeah, Amon-Ra has a toe injury. It looks like it might be turf toe, which is an injury we've seen people play through before. But you got to be a little concerned about Amon-Ra, but not to the point where you're not going to start him. You got to start Amon-Ra still. But yeah, it's definitely not ideal that he's dealing with a toe injury. And then Jordan Addison, Garrett Wilson, or Tyler Lockett. Oh, man, where do I have Addison here in these rankings? Addison's definitely a tough one to rank this week. And yeah, I do have him behind Tyler Lockett and I think Garrett Wilson too. I actually don't think I even have Garrett Wilson in these rankings. So I would start Jordan Addison over Garrett Wilson. I wouldn't start him over Tyler Lockett, though. I think you guys start Tyler Lockett over Jordan Addison. It's a good matchup for Jordan Addison. He could explode this week, but he's still not seeing huge snap shares. Let's see. Let's compare Addison and Lockett here. I would start them both over Garrett Wilson this week in that game. The Patriots game, bad weather in that game. Wind in that Patriots-Jets game this week. All right, Addison and Lockett. Let's check these two out. Yeah, it's Lockett. Man, look at that. The difference in the matchups here is pretty stark, though. Let's look at the game logs here for Addison. The snap share did go up last week. Route share did go up. Man, this is tough. This is really a boom bust decision here. And both guys are kind of boom bust players a little bit. I would argue the ceiling is higher for Jordan Addison this week, though, than Tyler Lockett. If you really want to shoot for the ceiling, go with Jordan Addison. He gets by far the best matchup we've seen for receivers this season. He's averaging more points per game than Lockett. I think you go Addison over Lockett. I'm going to move Addison up in the rankings after looking at this a little bit. I'm going Addison over Lockett. I'm willing to shoot for the ceiling with Jordan Addison. Slots in now at number 19 in my wide receiver rankings. You got to start Jordan Addison. We've already seen him explode. Now he gets probably the best matchup he has had this season. That's kind of true for the entire Vikings passing attack today. That's why you got to start Kirk Cousins as well. All right, we're going to get some more of these start sits. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here again. Pittman or Amari Cooper. Both good options this week. I think I would probably, let's see who I have ranked in these wide receiver rankings higher. Puka Nacua, haven't seen any questions about him. He's a must start at this point. Thoughts on Browns defense this week? Yeah, I like them. I like them against the Titans. I'm starting them in one of my leagues. Yeah, I do have Michael Pittman Jr. ahead of Amari Cooper this week. I think it's close. Both good options. But yeah, I would lean Michael Pittman over Amari Cooper. Yo, Sam, start 2 full PPR. Madison, MT, Pickens. Yeah, bench Michael Thomas here. Start Alexander Madison this week. Start George Pickens this week. Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Gabe Davis, Jordan Addison. Pick 3 PPR. Yeah, it's Jordan Addison. It's DJ Moore. And Garrett Wilson versus Gabe Davis is close. Super close one. I don't think either of them, maybe neither of them are in these rankings here. I have Gabe Davis late in these rankings. God, I feel like it does maybe make sense to slide Garrett Wilson in ahead of him. We're up to 37 wide receivers now in my top 25 wide receiver rankings. Yeah, I'll go Garrett Wilson over Gabe Davis. I would. Pull up these wide receiver rankings again. Judy or Dell? Gosh, I think it's Judy. I would go Judy over Dell. Najee or Pickens? I'm going Pickens over Najee. I'm going Judy over Dell. Zay Flowers or Tyler Lockett? I think it's Tyler Lockett over Zay Flowers. Geno or Fields? I'd go Geno over Fields. I just got the number 2 gifter badge. Nice, let's go. I have to start Kareem or Antonio Gibson with Saquon out. Yeah, don't start Kareem. Don't start Kareem. Start Antonio Gibson. You cannot start Kareem Hunt this week. Tank Dell or Rashid Shaheed? Yeah, I'd go Tank Dell over Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed's been balling though, man. Balling. I mean, I think he's in top 5 in the league in yards per route run this year. Rest of season PPR. Pick 3, Josh Jacobs, JT Mixon, or Javonte Williams. Looking to maybe trade 1 or 2, maybe 2 for a high-end RB1. Yeah, so rest of season, hold on to JT. I think you got to hold on to JT at this point. I think you got to hold on to Josh Jacobs. I would probably look to move Mixon, honestly, of all these guys. And Mixon and Javonte feel like the two to move on from, in my opinion. I think Josh Jacobs, JT have the highest ceilings, highest floors. I am excited about Javonte, though, like rest of the season. I think he can explode down the stretch as they give him a bigger and bigger workload. But so far, we haven't seen that. Sam, I have never been hit so hard by the injury bug before. Andrew, you're not alone, man. There's been so many brutal injuries. Juju, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Darnell Mooney, Romeo Dobbs. Andrew, thank you for asking this question because this is a player I really wanted to talk about today, and it's Brandon Cooks. Start Brandon Cooks here, Andrew, over Juju, over Robert Woods, over Darnell Mooney, over Romeo Dobbs. I think pretty easily, and I'm pretty excited, man. I'm excited about Brandon Cooks this week. How are we doing after an hour into the live stream? We're doing great, Yarsma. We got an hour down. We got at least 2 hours to go. There's so many exciting games. I still want to go game by game. I haven't even gone game by game yet. This always happens. I get so excited in the first hour of the stream that I forget to even go game by game. I just go on Kyle Pitts rants. For the first hour of the stream, I'm seeing another Kyle Pitts question in the TikTok live. Two different Kyle Pitts questions in the TikTok live. Kyle Pitts or Hunter Henry. And guys, I love Hunter Henry. He's my most drafted player in best ball by far. And it has to be Kyle Pitts against the Lions this week. Start Kyle Pitts against the Lions. Unless you have one of the top 5 tight ends, unless you have Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, or Evan Ingram, you got to start Kyle Pitts. All right, thoughts on Brian Robinson Jr.? Yeah, I mean, you got to feel pretty encouraged about what we've seen from B-Rob so far this season, Yarshma. I'm a little skeptical we're going to see this level of production from B-Rob the whole season. I do think we're going to start to see a little bit more Antonio Gibson in some of these games. But yeah, Brian Robinson, back-to-back games with at least 18 carries. He's been much more involved in the passing game than years past, too. He's 3 catches this season as well. And yeah, he was the number 1 running back in fantasy football last week, 29 fantasy points. The Broncos are a pretty good matchup for running backs. Probably a good sign for Raheem Mostert this week. Definitely he's a good option as well. All right, let's pull up the free player prop of the day. We cashed again on Thursday night. We are now 4-1 this season on the free player props. And today's I'm feeling pretty good about. And it's Jerry Jeudy over 49.5 receiving yards. Let me pull this up for everybody on the TikTok live. Let's just take a quick look at the new player prop evaluator in the WalterPicks app. Guys, Jerry Jeudy over 49.5 receiving yards. He has hit this in 7 of his last 10 games going back to last season. Jerry Jeudy had an encouraging start to the season last week in terms of his usage. The efficiency was not there, but Jeudy played 68% of snaps in his return to action last week after missing week 1 with a hamstring injury. He had an inefficient day. He finished with 25 yards on 3 catches, but he didn't suffer any setbacks. And he still managed an encouraging 19% target share for Jerry Jeudy last week. 19% target share. Jerry Jeudy had at least a 20% target share in 91% of his games last year's healthy games. He's the clear top receiver for the Broncos. They are 6.5-point road underdogs this week against the Dolphins. Should mean plenty of passing attempts for Russ. And the Dolphins have allowed 57-plus receiving yards this season to both Keenan Allen and Devontae Parker. A very, very doable prop line for Jeudy this week. He could do this in just a couple catches. I like this one a lot. Jeudy over 49.5 receiving yards. As always, use code Walter on Sleeper for 100% deposit match. You can find this line on Sleeper. Jeudy over 49.5 receiving yards. You can find the link to Sleeper too in the YouTube description if you're watching live on YouTube. Tua or Lamar? Yeah, I lean Tua over Lamar this week. I do really like Tua this week. Let me pull up the QB rankings again on the YouTube live. I have Tua 2 spots ahead of Lamar. Tua is my number 5 quarterback this week. I have Kirk ahead of Tua also. I'm starting Kyle Pitts over Sam Laporta. I am. I'm starting Dallas Goedert over Sam Laporta as well. I have Sam Laporta right after Kyle Pitts in my rankings. I wanted to get to this one. Someone asking here about my Cam Akers thoughts. Not sure if I'm going to get to that. Why are you ignoring my questions? Hector, there's a lot of questions, man. I promise you, I'm not ignoring your questions specifically. Here it is. In the future, thoughts on Cam Akers. Yeah, it's hard for me to get super excited about Cam Akers. He was traded for basically nothing. I still think Alexander Mattison is the clear number 1 running back for the Vikings. There's a wide range of outcomes for him. I think I'm more excited about Kareem Hunt than Cam Akers. I'm also just not super excited about Kareem Hunt either. I think Kareem Hunt at least has an inroads to the goal line work and maybe some of the pass catching work over Jerome Ford, because we've seen Kareem Hunt get that role over Nick Chubb in the past. But Cam Akers, man, he might be toast. Cam Akers might be toast. He was traded for nothing, 0. They basically paid the Vikings to take him. We saw him look good down the stretch last year. I know Alexander Madison's been struggling a little bit, but yeah, I'm overall just not super excited about the upside for Cam Akers. Sam, Calvin or Chase? Got to be Calvin Ridley. This is one of the cases where I'm okay benching Jamar Chase. You got to start Calvin Ridley this week. And Njoku or Hunter Henry? Got to be Hunter Henry. Devontae Smith or Mondre? Got to be Devontae Smith. Do not bench Devontae Smith. Mike Evans or Drake London or Nico Collins at the 2 PPR. I guess pick 2 PPR. Yeah, it's got to be Mike Evans. And I think Nico Collins. I would go Nico over Drake London as well. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Brandon. I got to be honest with you. Does not feel like the morning to me. I've been up since 6 a.m. grinding, putting together all the notes for this live stream to make sure I can confidently answer these start-sit questions as they come in, and this one's pretty close. It's a PPR league, which I think makes it closer, but I still think the answer here is Raheem Mostert. You got to feel good about Raheem Mostert. There is no Salvin Ahmed in this game for the Dolphins. He was the backup running back the last time the Dolphins played. But Devon Achane, he should play today. That's going to be pretty exciting to see for Devon Achane. Still, though, Mostert's going to dominate the touches in this backfield. Broncos have been a very good matchup for running backs this season. This game should be pretty high scoring as well. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about Raheem Mostert. And Rachaad White has a tougher matchup against the Eagles this week. Dameon Pierce or Roschon Johnson or Thomas or Gabe Davis. It's one of the last two here. I actually think that the rankings for me for these guys is probably in the reverse order of this. I think I do have Michael Thomas ranked ahead of Gabe Davis. So I think I would go Michael Thomas, Gabe Davis, Roschon Johnson, Dameon Pierce. But I'm glad you brought up Roschon Johnson. Guys, you have to go. Take 2 seconds. Go to your waiver wire. See if Roschon Johnson's available. He's still available in a bunch of leagues. Roschon Johnson has really, really a pretty high league winning upside, I think. And he's available still in a bunch of leagues. Look at these numbers for Roschon Johnson to start the season in the pass game. He had 7 targets in week 1. Snap share went up a little bit. The ability in the passing game, a 20% target share in his first game as a rookie. I think there's a really high ceiling here for Roschon. I'm not starting him this week necessarily over Gabe Davis or Mike Thomas, but in general, I'm okay with starting or adding Roschon Johnson. And yeah, I would start Roschon Johnson over Dameon Pierce. I've been saying bench Dameon Pierce every single week. It really hasn't changed this week. The Houston Texans offensive line is in complete shambles. Complete shambles. Dak or Russ. I would go Russ over Dak. I'd go Russ over Dak this week. I have Russ one spot ahead of Dak in my QB rankings. Tough one. I have to play 3 wide receivers: Chase, Adams, Evans, Nakua, Pittman. Yeah, this one is tough. This one is okay to bench Jamar Chase with. Start Devontae Adams for sure. Start Puka Nakua for sure. And then Evans versus Pittman is a close one. I think I would go Mike Evans over Pittman. I actually have Mike Evans, Jamar, and Pittman back to back in my rankings in that order. And I have Puka Nakua ahead of all of them. And Devontae Adams ahead of all of them. So yeah, it's Devontae, it's Puka, and it's Mike Evans. But yeah, super tough one. That is a tough one. Jacoby Myers and Michael Thomas. Guys, you got to start Jacoby Myers in this spot for sure. In a lot of spots, start Jacoby Myers. Got Jacoby Myers balled out in week 1. He's back from his concussion, and he is in another good matchup here against the Steelers. Such a consolidated target share. Consolidated touches, honestly, for the Raiders. It's Devontae Adams. It's Jacoby Myers. It's Josh Jacobs. That's basically the end of the list. That's like 80% of the touches for the Raiders. Hunter Renfrow is just running wind sprints out there. He's done absolutely nothing. He looks completely toast. At some point, maybe we see Hunter Renfrow show up. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, I really like Jacoby Myers. I would play him over Michael Thomas, I think, pretty easily. Christian Kirk, Tyler Lockett, or Jordan Addison. Yeah, let's pull up these rankings here because I moved up. I moved Jordan Addison up in the rankings during this live stream as we looked a little bit more into the numbers. Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert? Got to be Dallas Goedert. Tank Dell or Sam Laporta or Adam Thielen? Yeah, start Tank Dell for sure. Never start 2 tight ends if you don't need to. Okay. We did move Jordan Addison up in the rankings. The Chargers have allowed by far the most points to receivers in fantasy this season. Part of that was because Tyreek Hill dropped a 200-plus yard, 2-touchdown bomb on them in week 1. But that is what can happen against this Chargers defense. And that is why I have Jordan Addison, I think, ranked ahead now of Tyler Lockett and Christian Kirk. This one's tough. I would argue that Kirk is maybe the safest of all of these guys with Zay Jones out. But yeah, I think Jordan Addison has the highest ceiling. Where's Christian Kirk even in these rankings? He must be pretty low here. Yeah, he's down at 29. I feel like he's got to be higher than that. I'm going to move him a little bit higher than that with Zay Jones out and what we saw from. I still think he's behind, though. I still think he's behind Jordan Addison. So I would start Jordan Addison over Christian Kirk. I'm moving Christian Kirk ahead of T. Higgins and ahead of Chris Godwin. These wide receiver rankings again. Kelly or Addison? Kelly's safer. Addison has the higher ceiling. I think I would probably start Josh Kelly personally because I think there's also a ceiling for Josh Kelly. I have Josh Kelly as my number 12 running back this week. My number 12 running back. I'll pull up the wide receiver rankings. Sorry. Madison or Mostert or even Swift. Yeah, I'd lean Mostert over Madison this week. I'm okay going with Mostert. Who are some good streaming options for Burrow in a 10-man, 2 QB league? All right, let's pull up the quarterback rankings here for this person. Some good streaming options. Definitely Russ Wilson, good streaming option. Jared Goff, good streaming option. Deshaun Watson, good streaming option. Geno Smith and Jimmy Garoppolo, both good streaming options also. Justin Fields, I've seen dropped in a few leagues. He's a good streaming option if he's available. Puka or A.J. Brown? God, you're not benching A.J. Brown. I like Puka. He's my number 10 wide receiver this week, but A.J. Brown's my number 7 wide receiver. Do I drop Pierce for Roschon Johnson? Oh, God, I honestly don't hate it. It feels a little bit aggressive. I would rather Roschon rest the season, though. I'm okay with it. George Pickens or Josh Kelly? Yeah, that one's close. I like both those guys a lot. I think they're both good starts this week. I lean Josh Kelly over George Pickens. Puka Nacua or Calvin Ridley? Man, you guys are asking some tough ones. And yeah, I'm seeing a small typo here in my wide receiver rankings where I have Calvin Ridley ranked number 10, and then right after him, I have Puka Nacua ranked number 10. So I maybe have even more receivers in these top 25 rankings than I thought originally. But yeah, you got to start Calvin Ridley over Puka Nacua. You can't bench Calvin Ridley this week. No benching Calvin Ridley this week. I have Puka Nacua ranked number 11. I have Calvin Ridley ranked number 10. So yeah, start Calvin Ridley and start Puka Nacua though too. You should really be able to start both of them in most leagues. Okay, let's go game by game here. I'm excited to talk through some of these games. I already mentioned the Pats game a little earlier. The Pats game is the one game with weather that you really need to be aware of. There's going to be wind gusts over 25 miles an hour in the Patriots game. That is not good for the passing offenses, which are already going to struggle in this game. The Pats are without three of their top 4 corners in this one. But it's not going to matter against Zach Wilson. It's not going to matter with the wind. All right, let's go game by game here. And let me pull up my picks against the spread here on the YouTube Live. Again, if you come to the TikTok Live, if you come to the YouTube Live, if you're on TikTok, you can see my top 25 rankings every position. You can see my picks against the spread, my DraftKings on it, free player prop on the YouTube Live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. Let's talk through some of these games. So first of all, we got Bijan Robinson up against Jahmyr Gibbs. Falcons versus the Detroit Lions. I do like the Falcons +3 in this game. Do you talk through about weathers thoroughly through the games? Yeah, so I will talk about the weather. Weatherman Sam will talk about the weather, but the only weather that really matters today that's going to impact the games, there is some precipitation in some of these games in the East Coast, but nothing to be worried about. There might even be some rain showers in the Dolphins game, but that happens in Florida. Nothing to be worried about. It comes and goes super fast in Florida with the rain. Not worried about that at all. The only game I'm worried about and will be impacted, I think, by the weather is the Patriots versus Jets game, which is going to have wind gusts over 25 miles an hour and rain throughout the game. Anyways, getting to some of these games. And let me pull up a comment here a different comment here about one of these start sets. I'm nervous about St. Brown's injury. Yeah, you have a lot of good options here. So yeah, I would start all three of these guys. I would bench Amon-Ra St. Brown for Puka, A.J. Brown, and Keenan Allen. I think that's fine. All right. We get the Bills against the Commanders today. They're only 5.5-point favorites against the Commanders. Was pretty surprised about that line. I like the Bills a lot in that one. I think Steph Diggs is due for a big game today. I also think Jahan Dotson, kind of tough to trust, honestly, in this game against the Bills. Morning, Sam. Lots of decisions this morning. Yeah, we got a lot of tough ones, I think, this week. And this is a big week, guys. This is a big week for fantasy where we have enough data now to make the right decisions. Like the first 2 weeks, especially week 1, you really kind of have to just start your guys that you drafted. I don't think that is the case any longer. I think you really can make some of these difficult decisions and win weeks because of it. All right, we got Goff or Russell Wilson. So let me pull up the quarterback rankings here again in the YouTube Live. Because I have both Goff and Russell Wilson in my top 12, my top 11 even, but it's Russ for me over Goff. You got to like Russ against the Dolphins. I think this week the Dolphins are going to be able to put up points against the Broncos defense. The Broncos defense, guys, really has been a defense that is leading to shootout games. And that's been good for Russ so far. And it's going to be good for him again this week against the Dolphins. Josh Allen or Cousins? Yeah, you got to start Josh Allen. I like Kirk Cousins. He's my number 4 quarterback. I'm not starting. I'm never benching Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, or Josh Allen. I'm not doing it. You just can't do it. These guys are matchup proof. They really are. They could be playing the best defense in the league, and I'd still probably start them over Kirk Cousins, who's playing in a really, really good spot against the Chargers. So, yeah, you got to start Josh Allen every week, no matter what. Jordan Addison, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, Chris Godwin. It's the middle two here, for sure. You got to start A.J. Brown. You got to start Puka Nacua. I have these guys both in my top 11 wide receivers. I have A.J. Brown at number 7. I have Puka Nacua at number 11, right after Calvin Ridley. And then it's Jordan Addison over Chris Godwin. It's Jordan Addison over Chris Godwin. Addison's my number 19 wide receiver this week. A really good matchup for him against the Chargers. I definitely like him a lot. I think the ceiling's super, super high for Addison. Watson or Stafford? Yeah, I have Watson. I think ahead of Stafford. I think I do. Yeah, I have Deshaun at number 12. Not a horrible matchup for Deshaun. I know Deshaun's been getting a lot of hate. I actually don't necessarily hate Deshaun in tournaments. I think his ceiling's probably higher than he's getting credit for. And the Titans secondary is bad. The Titans defensive line is really, really good. All right, thoughts on possible repercussions on Chargers-Vikings outcome? Yeah, I saw some stuff about that. That is a really interesting question. I saw some reports that was like, okay, the Vikings lose. Now they're 0-3. And I think the Chargers, right? Let me pull up this too, because there's some really big 0-2 matchups today. Like really big. And I think this is one of them. Yeah, both these teams 0-2. Chargers are 0-2. Vikings are 0-2. Historically speaking, guys, it is extremely tough. This is true in fantasy too, but extremely tough in the NFL to come back from 0-3. Like you're almost definitely not going to do it. There's teams that have done it. There's teams that can do it. There's teams that will do it, but almost definitely you're not going to do it. The Chargers are 0-2. They're playing the 0-2 Minnesota Vikings today. And yeah, I saw some reports out there that were saying Minnesota Vikings maybe will tank for the stud Caleb Williams, I think is his name, that everyone thinks is like already as good as Patrick Mahomes, which by the way is absolutely ridiculous. He is not already good. Not already as good as Patrick Mahomes. Kyle Pitts a must start LMAO. Yeah, let me go on the Kyle Pitts rant again in a second. But yeah, I generally do not buy the whole like if they lose they're going to tank sentiment. We don't see teams tank this early in the season, generally speaking, even if they're 0-3. That's why I still think we're going to see Kyler Murray play sometime soon this season, even though the Cardinals are 0-2, soon to be 0-3. And the other 0-2 game, though, today, guys, the Patriots. Sorry, the Jets are 1-1. The Patriots, though, an 0-2 matchup for them. They're favorites against the Jets. If the Patriots lose this game, guys, the Patriots are completely toast this season. Completely toast. There'll be 2 games behind the Jets. There'll be 2 games behind the 3 games maybe behind the Dolphins and 2 games behind the Bills. And if they can't beat the Jets with Zach Wilson, guys, the Pats are not going to beat very many teams this season. I'm encouraged about the Pats and how they've started, but they're 0-2, and they really could be 0-3 after this one. Okay. You got to start Kyle Pitts this week. You do. You just do. And let me talk through it one more time because I'm seeing a lot of comments about Kyle Pitts. I'm starting Kyle Pitts over Sam Laporta. Yes. I'm starting Kyle Pitts over Hunter Henry. Yes. I'm starting Kyle Pitts over Zach Ertz. I'm starting Kyle Pitts over Cole Kmet, K. Dotton, Taysom Hill, David Njoku, Juwan Johnson, Dalton Schultz. I'm starting him over all those guys. I'm not starting him over Travis Kelce. I'm not starting over Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkins, and Dallas Goedert, Evan Ingram. But then I'm starting Kyle Pitts because the ceiling is high for Kyle Pitts. The floor is low for all the tight ends outside the top 5. They're all close to 0-point floors. Kyle Pitts, his floor is super low, yes, but the ceiling is so high. We have seen 40+% target share games from Kyle Pitts. You don't see that from tight ends. And he's playing the Lions, guys. The Lions led over 100 yards to tight ends last week. They've been one of the worst defenses against tight ends, and this game should be high scoring. So, yeah, I'm starting Kyle Pitts this week, and I don't feel that bad about it. Stafford or Geno, 6-point throwing TD. I actually do, Adam. Thank you for that context, because most leagues are 4-point throwing touchdowns, so that is useful. And I do think that makes me like maybe Stafford just a tiny bit more, but yeah, I'm going Geno over Stafford still. And then Brees, B-Rob or Gabe Davis. Yeah, it's got to be B-Rob, I think, over Gabe Davis and over Brees with how he's playing. B-Rob was the number 1 running back in fantasy last week. Obviously, tougher matchup for him this week, but yeah, I do not hate B-Rob. Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, I like Pacheco. I like him against the Bears. The Chiefs are massive favorites in this game. The Kansas City Chiefs are favored by, if I pull this up quick, the Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites. That's good news for Isaiah Pacheco. The Bears are bottom 5 against running backs in fantasy this season. And Pacheco is expected to play. Osborne or Brandon Cooks? You got to start Brandon Cooks. You got to start Brandon Cooks. I'm actually super, super excited for Brandon Cooks today. Guys, Cooks balled out in week 1. He missed week 2 with an injury. He's back to full health this week. hopefully close to full health, and a pretty easy matchup against the Cardinals. I'm a little nervous this game. It could be a huge blowout, and so it doesn't end up mattering that much for the pass game for the Cowboys, but I still think they'll pass, through the first 3 quarters of the game, and that's going to be good for Brandon Cooks. You got to start. Why no Devontae Adams in your top receivers this week? No, he is. Devontae Adams is in my top receivers this week. I try to make these must-starts guys that, like, you might be considering benching. Like, there's some must-starts, obviously, that are really clear must-starts, and Devontae Adams is one of those. I have Devontae Adams as my number 3 wide receiver this week. If you come to the YouTube live, links are in the TikTok bio, you can see my full top 25 rankings for each position. Okay. Hey, Sam, full PPR, pick 3. St. Brown, Nakua, Godwin, Pickens, Metcalf. Yeah, you got to bench. I think you bench Chris Godwin among those receivers. It's Chris Godwin or Metcalf that you're benching, and I think it's Chris Godwin. Henry or Ertz? Yeah, I'm starting Henry over Ertz, but it's close. Hey, Sam, been here since the beginning this morning. Thank you, Mackenzie. Appreciate that. Should I start Hunter Henry in the weather today or Muth against against Vegas? Yeah, Hunter Henry, I think he does get a slight downgrade because of this weather, but I think less so than the other pass catchers for the Patriots, because Hunter Henry does run a lot of those short intermediate routes that they're going to really the only type of passes that they might be able to do in this game because of the 25 plus mile an hour wind gusts in this Patriots-Jets game. I'm going Henry over Muth. We've seen nothing from Muth this season. It's a good matchup for Muth. There's no Deontay Johnson, which should help Muth, but yeah, overall, I still think Hunter Henry over Muth makes sense. Are we worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown's toe injury? Yeah, I'm moderately worried, but I still think he's a must start. He did play through it last week, so he should be able to continue playing through it, but it's definitely less than ideal for Amon-Ra. Sam, do I start Josh Kelly, Jerome Ford, or Garrett Wilson in the flex? It's Josh Kelly. It's Josh Kelly over Garrett Wilson this week. It's Josh Kelly over Jerome Ford this week. Also, in another league, Jacoby Myers or Josh Kelly. If it's PPR, Andrew, I'm going Jacoby Myers over Josh Kelly. If it's not PPR, I'm going Josh Kelly. And is Burrow playing? I don't think Burrow's going to play. He's questionable, though, for Monday night. So he's not officially ruled out. I don't think he's going to play. And that's obviously a huge downgrade for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. We're projecting him out right now in the WalterPicks app as well. So our projections in the WalterPicks app are accounting for him being out. Morning Sam, 2, Flowers. Pick 2, Flowers. Moore, Collins. Have Myers in free agency. Do I pick him up over them? You might want to do that. I'm assuming you mean DJ Moore here. There are a bunch of Moores. We got Sky Moore, we got DJ Moore, we got Rondell Moore. But I'm assuming you mean here DJ Moore. Let me look into these wide receiver rankings here. I have Jacoby Myers ranked number 17 this week. I have DJ Moore down at 32. And I got Nico Collins at 31. Zay Flowers at 30. You got to start Jacoby Myers over all these guys. Yeah, I don't know which one of these guys I would like to drop, though. For Jacoby Myers, I'd probably hold on to Collins. I'd probably hold on to Moore and Flowers. But you want to hold on to Collins, too, if possible. Okay, and then Wilson and Jefferson, other 2 wide receivers, not starting Wilson. Yeah, don't start Wilson. You can't bench. You can't drop either of those guys, too. Also, Kelly or Moss, rest of the season, full PPR. Yeah, I like Kelly more than Moss, rest of the season, full PPR, because I do think JT is going to come back. And we already saw a game with Josh Kelly and Austin Eckler, and Josh Kelly got 16 carries in that game. So, yeah, I'm okay with that. Josh Kelly or Pierce. Got to be Josh Kelly over Dameon Pierce. Bench Dameon Pierce. Why bench Jerome Ford? Because the Titans' defensive line is really good. I still think the workload is going to be good for Jerome Ford, but the defensive line for the Titans is very, very good. Wilson or Myers? Yeah, I'm going Jacoby Myers over Garrett Wilson. Amari Cooper or Jordan Addison? Oh, God, this one's tough. I have Jordan Addison ranked number 19. I think I have Amari Cooper. Ahead of him, and I do. 1 spot. Or 2 spots, maybe, ahead of him. 3 spots. Jordan Addison's down to 21 now. Now that we got Chris Olave in there. But yeah, Amari Cooper. I'd start him over Jordan Addison. Good matchup for Amari Cooper against the Titans defense. He's a really good start this week. Mac Jones or CJ Stroud? You can't start Mac Jones this week. Don't start him. Jets defense is very, very good, and there's wind, significant wind in this Pats Jets game on top of rain. Help. Pick one, Addison, Flowers, or Miles Sanders. Yeah, I'd go Addison over Flowers this week, and I'd go with him over Miles Sanders as well. Tank Dell or Garrett Wilson? Oh, God, yeah. I think it's Tank Dell over Garrett Wilson. I don't feel great about that one, but I do think I would do that. Brian Robinson or Judy? Yeah, I like Judy this week. I think B-Rob's safer, but Judy's the free player prop of the day. I like him over 49.5 receiving yards against the Dolphins this week. We're 4-1 on these free player props so far this season. We've only gotten one wrong. I actually think it was off by just a tiny bit. We've cashed on all the other ones. Elijah Mitchell Thursday night. That one was easy. Over 29.5 rushing yards. He went for 40 plus. He saw a ton of work. We like Jerry Jeudy today. Jeudy had a 19% target share in his first game back last week, despite only playing like 67% of the snaps. He was over a 20% target share last season in 91% of his healthy games. That's Jerry Jeudy. I think his floor and ceiling are pretty exciting today. I like Jeudy today. Garrett Wilson, Josh Kelly, or Alexander Madison. Yeah, bench Garrett Wilson here. You can't feel great about Garrett Wilson. I like him the most of all of the Jets players today because the Pats are without three of their starting four corners. But then when you really think about this game and Bill Belichick versus Zach Wilson in a game that's going to be raining and wind gusts over 25 miles an hour, it really pushes Garrett Wilson close to the must-bench category. It does. You hate to see it for a guy as good as Garrett Wilson. But yeah, I'm starting Kelly and Madison over Garrett Wilson. And I start Josh Kelly over Alexander Madison as well. That's an Aaron Jones injury. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about Aaron Jones. But yeah, it's definitely not like a full steam ahead thing with Aaron Jones in fantasy right now. He might not play. He really might not play. There's a chance he does not play. Still. So he's truly questionable in this game. And I don't think we're going to get that closer to the kickoff at 1 o'clock. Probably we'll get that report in like an hour or so. Jerry Jeudy, Addison, or D-Hop? Yeah, I go Addison, then Jeudy, then D-Hop, or probably Addison, then D-Hop, then Jeudy. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here again. I have them up actually on the YouTube live right now. Yeah, I have Addison at 21, I have Hop at 28, and I have Jeudy at 24. So yeah, it's actually Addison, Jeudy, then D-Hop for me this week. And I feel like I might be a tiny bit low on D-Hop. Do I trade Miles and St. Brown for Harris and Olave need help? I don't love that trade. I don't love giving up St. Brown. Olave and St. Brown are pretty close. I think I'd like Sanders more than Najee, though. So yeah, I don't love it. Also, in the WalterPicks app, guys, you can use the trade analyzer in the WalterPicks app for free. If any comments in the YouTube live, have any trade questions you want to get to, we can do that in the WalterPicks trade analyzer live on screen. All right, let's get to Garrett Wilson will still start with the predicted weather. No, I don't think it's a still start. In a lot of spots, I'm okay not starting Garrett Wilson this week. Again, Weatherman Sam coming through today, guys. There is actually a real concerning game this week. Really the first truly concerning weather game of the season, and it is the Patriots versus the Jets. Rain and sustained winds around 15 miles an hour and gusts over 25 miles an hour in that Pats-Jets game. Don't feel good about that. I do not feel good about the passing game at all for the Jets today, even with all the injuries in the secondary for the Pats. Hey, Sam, 3-year premium sub. Mike, thank you so much. Guys, the best way you could possibly support me is by checking out the WalterPicks app and trying out one of the premium subscriptions in the app as little as $5 a month. Pick 2, London, Josh Reynolds, Brown, Arizona, JSN, or Dell, full PPR. Mike, I know you're frequent here because you tell me the scoring settings. You tell me which Brown you're talking about. Mike, overall, great comment here. Appreciate you tuning in. Let's talk through this one. I'm going to do a comparison in the app too as I think through this. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, is one of these guys that I don't think people quite realize what the real ceiling is for JSN still. He's a really intriguing buy candidate, I think, in fantasy right now. It's only a matter of time until we see a boom game from JSN. Is the Black Friday sale going to be back this year? It likely will be, Ryan. It likely will be back. Okay. But I don't know, is this going to be the week for JSN? I would start JSN over Josh Reynolds. I would start JSN over, I don't know if I'd start him over Tank Dell. Let's do this comparison. Tank Dell, JSN, and Drake London. I think I would start all those guys over Marquise Brown. I don't feel great about Marquise Brown this week. Let's pull this up. JSN, Drake London, and let's also put in Tank Dell. It's definitely a really intriguing option this week. And it's Drake London by a smidge here. JSN over Tank Dell. I don't necessarily disagree with that one either. JSN does have the highest boom percentage, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But yeah, man, the matchup for Drake London is the best. Not a good matchup for JSN in general. I know the Panthers secondary is dealing with some injuries. Yeah, I think the answer here is Drake London. I would go Drake London, then I would go JSN, then I would go Tank Dell. So yeah, you said start 2. So yeah, I would go Drake London and JSN, then Tank Dell. I would not start Marquise Brown over any of these guys this week. All right, let's get some more of these start sits. We're going to go rapid fire here for a bit in the start sits. I saw Derrick Henry or Breece Hall there in the TikTok live. Start Derrick Henry over Breece Hall. TikTok live. I'm going to restart the TikTok live briefly. There's a little bit of a bug on my screen here. I'll be back in a second on the TikTok live. All right, Aaron Jones, Marquise Brown, or Josh Reynolds at flex, full PPR. Sorry about that. Just restarting the TikTok live here in a second. I will get to this question. Aaron Jones, Marquise Brown, or Josh Reynolds. Oh gosh, yeah, I think it's Aaron Jones in this one. Assuming Aaron Jones plays. I have Aaron Jones at number 14 running back, assuming he plays, and I do think he is going to play, but he is truly questionable. Would you start Mostert or Kelly? PPR, I think they're close in the rankings. Yeah, they definitely are close here in the rankings. And do you like the under 35.5 total? It's a really low under. I would probably lean towards the under, though, because of the weather. And yeah, Kelly versus Mostert is extremely, extremely close. I think I lean Josh Kelly over Mostert. But yeah, super, super close. I honestly think that Mostert maybe has a slightly safer floor. Kelly maybe a slightly higher ceiling. But yeah, both guys are good options. I like them both. I feel better about, honestly, the Dolphins, though, leading over the Broncos than I do necessarily the Chargers leading. So yeah, honestly, I might swap these two. I'm going to swap these two right now after thinking through the start-sit decision specifically. I would go Mostert over Josh Kelly. It's definitely a really tough one. Yeah, I'm going Mostert over Josh Kelly. Okay. Hey, Sam, got two questions. Najee, Madison, or Pacheco as second starting running back? Najee, Madison, or Pacheco as second starting running back? Thinking of sitting Najee. Yeah, I would go Madison over Najee. This is a good week for Najee. He gets the Raiders. The Raiders are a bottom 3 defense against running backs. They're dead last against running backs this season so far. If I pull up how they've done against running backs, let me pull this up really quick. I might talk you and myself into Najee here. I do like Madison, I think, off the cuff more than Najee Harris, just on what we've seen usage-wise from both this season. But yeah, week 1, Christian McCaffrey goes up against the Raiders. Obviously, CMC locked in. He goes 26 points. Then week 2, Jerome Ford pops off for 24 points last week against the Raiders. Sorry, I'm looking at the Steelers. My apologies. Let me pull up the Raiders. I was thinking Najee. Yeah, P. Ryan and Javonte Williams, they combined over 20 points against the Raiders. James Cook last week went for 20 points, plus Latavius Murray. And Damian Harris also went over 9 points each. Like, Najee's probably going to score a touchdown today, guys. He's probably going to do it. They're going to be able to run more in this game with Najee. Man, but Madison is also in a pretty good spot against the Chargers. I think the workload's going to be there for him. I like Pacheco against the Bears, too. I think you probably have to bench Pacheco here, though. I'd go Najee and Madison. And I would probably play Madison over Najee, but it's close. And I think Madison's ceiling's higher, maybe, but Najee's floor is better. Thinking of sitting Najee in flex 1, Pacheco, Warren, D-Hop, or Sutton. Yeah, I would flex Najee over all these guys. But I assume this is a different league. I honestly think I like it's between Pacheco and D-Hop for me. Let me pull up what Walter's saying about D-Hop here, because I feel like I'm pretty low on DeAndre Hopkins. I don't feel super great about it. I felt good about it last week being low on DeAndre Hopkins, but also last week he was truly questionable. This week he is definitely going to be playing. All right, so let's pull up Hopkins and who's the other option there that we were just thinking through? I think it was Pacheco. Let me pull up Pacheco as well. The wide receiver versus running back comparisons are also always pretty interesting. I do think I lean Pacheco. Hopkins has the better projection here in the WalterPicks app in full PPR. Full PPR, I think that makes sense. Half PPR, I think I would go Pacheco. I do think that the floor is pretty high for Pacheco this week. He was questionable with a hamstring injury, but he's going to play. The Bears are a bottom 3 defense against running backs this season. The Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites in this game. Pacheco's minimum seeing 12 carries in this game, assuming full health. I think he'd get closer to 15, 16, 17 carries in this game and go over 100 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, I think in PPR it does make sense, actually, Hopkins over Pacheco. All right, Judy or Godwin? I would go Judy over Godwin this week. Najee or Rashad White, PPR. God, I lean towards Najee, I think, over Rashad White in PPR. Let me pull up these running back. Where do I have Najee? Oh, gosh. I'm bumping Najee up in these rankings. I'm doing it. I'm putting him right after. I do think Najee's due for a touchdown in this game. It is a good matchup for Najee Harris in this one. I'm moving up to 14. I think you got to start Najee still in a lot of spots. I know Jaylen Warren has looked better than him, but I still think pretty clearly the Steelers want Najee Harris to lead that backfield in touches. Amari Cooper or Mostert, both good options this week. I lean Mostert. I'm Jerry Jeudy or Zay Flowers. Oh, man, I think my receiver rankings have Judy ahead of Zay Flowers. There's no OBJ this week, though. I'm okay going Zay Flowers over Judy. I'm going to adjust this too in my rankings. I'm going Zay Flowers over Judy. I like Judy this week. Judy's actually the free player prop of the day. I like Jerry Judy over 49.5 receiving yards today a lot. I really do. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. On the YouTube live, you come to the link in my bio. Top 25 rankings, every single position. I'm not going to be able to get to every single start sit, but I can answer almost all the start sit questions I see in the comments right now. Just if you just come to the YouTube live, link is in the bio. Two press your finger away, and you'll see my top 25 rankings, which will answer a lot of the start sits. I can't believe I'm asking this. Justin Fields or Russ? Yeah, I know. I would have been surprised you asked that, before the season started, but the answer is Russ. The answer is definitely Russ this week. You got to start Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. Guys, Justin Fields, his floor is just so astronomically bad this week. There is weather to be concerned about today, guys, and it is in the Patriots versus Jets game because there's going to be rain throughout the game, and there's going to be winds over 25 mile an hour during the game. Sustained winds, 10 to 15 miles an hour, wind gusts, 25 plus miles an hour. So don't start Kendrick Bourne. Don't start Devontae Parker. Don't start Garrett Wilson. I think Hunter Henry can still be started a lot of spots because he runs some of the shallower routes in the Pats offense. But yeah, in general, pretty nervous. Daniel Jones for Anthony Richardson. I would do that trade. Pittman or Ramondre. I would start Pittman over Ramondre. Okay. Who would you start instead of Garrett Wilson then? Christian Kirk or Drake London? Yeah, it's Christian Kirk. It's Christian Kirk over Drake London. Christian Kirk, there's no Zay Jones. Guys, let's pull up this comparison. I hope Walter agrees with me about Christian Kirk over Drake London. I would play Christian Kirk over Garrett Wilson. I feel like Walter might not agree with me on this one. He does actually. Walter, by the way, is Walter in the WalterPicks app, the AI model that powers the WalterPicks projections in the WalterPicks app for free on the iOS and Android App Store. Link in the TikTok bio and YouTube description. If you guys haven't checked out the WalterPicks app yet, do not know what you're waiting for. But yeah, Christian Kirk, let's just pull up the game log here for Christian Kirk last week. Obviously, hugely different than week one. His snap share jumps tremendously. His route percentage jumps a lot. 14 targets, 34% target share for Christian Kirk last week. 11 catches, 110 yards. Start Christian Kirk. Start Christian Kirk over Drake London. Start Christian Kirk over Garrett Wilson also this week. Okay. Yeah, recommended pickups. I think Jacoby Myers is kicking out there in some leagues. Yo, I'm here every Sunday. Joey, how we doing, man? Happy football Sunday to you as well. Need a win this week. Yeah, we need wins, Joey, every week. And this is really like a turning point for a lot of teams in the NFL this week too. If you're 0-2 in fantasy, you got to win this week. We cannot dig ourselves into an 0-3 hole. Same thing with the Pats and the Chargers and the Vikings today. 3 0-2 teams today that really need to win. 2 of those teams are playing each other. So one of them is for sure going to go 0-3. All right, pick 3. Dell, Davis, D-Hop, Atwell, London, or Jacoby. Yeah, so first off, you got to start Jacoby Myers this week. We saw Jacoby Myers pop off, Joey, in week 1. He gets another good matchup now coming back off the concussion injury against the Steelers. And just such a consolidated offense for the Raiders. It's Jacoby, it's Devontae, it's Josh Jacobs. We got Hunter Renfrow running wind sprints out there. He's commanded no targets this season, even without Jacoby in the lineup last week. So first off, definitely Jacoby. I really do like Tank Dell this week too. And then I think D-Hop makes sense also here. I think I would go D-Hop, Jacoby, Dell, full PPR. Also drop Atwell for Jacoby. Yes, drop Atwell for Jacoby, 100%. I would drop Atwell for Jacoby instantly. And don't get me wrong, Tutu's been good. He's been good. But I think Jacoby Myers' floor and ceiling is better than him now and definitely when Cooper Kupp comes back. Addison or Swift, half PPR. It's Addison. It's Addison over Swift. I'm pretty nervous about Swift. I think Swift could be a pretty big trap this week. He could. In week 1, we saw pretty clearly that the Eagles trusted Kenneth Gainwell more than DeAndre Swift. Kenneth Gainwell dominated the touches for the Eagles in week 1. Then he gets hurt, misses week 2. We see a DeAndre Swift legacy game in week 2 against the Vikings. Huge game. DeAndre Swift is better than Kenneth Gainwell. But that's what I think. What matters, though, is what do the Eagles front office and coaching staff think? And what are they going to do? Because historically speaking, they don't give running backs these huge workhorse roles. They split the running backs up within a game and kind of within the season, too. So I think Swift's floor is pretty low with Kenneth Gainwell in the lineup again today. Start Kyle Pitts or Jake Ferguson. Guys, it's Kyle Pitts week. I hate to be the one to break it to you. if you have Kyle Pitts, you got to start Kyle Pitts this week. I actually love to be the one to break it to you, to be honest, because Kyle Pitts it feels like one of the most hated players in fantasy right now. And I get it. He's been a polarizing guy. He went for 1,000 yards his rookie tight end season. But guys, he scored only 2 career touchdowns. Like, he's done things you just don't see tight ends do. And meanwhile, he's been like viewed really across the board, definitely this season and really last season too, as a bust in fantasy. Guys, Kyle Pitts is 29th in points per game at tight end position this year. And still, you just absolutely have to start him. You have to. He's playing the Lions. The Lions allowed over 100 receiving yards to Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, and Noah Fant last week. Kyle Pitts does have a 17% target share in both games. This season, we've seen Kyle Pitts go over a 40% target share in games in the past. You don't see that type of ceiling from tight ends. The ceiling is why you need to start Kyle Pitts over Jake Ferguson. It's why you need to start Kyle Pitts over Sam Laporta. It's why you need to start Kyle Pitts over Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet, Kate Otten. None of these guys are sniffing the ceiling that Kyle Pitts has. Kyle Pitts' ceiling is number 1 overall tight end. You can't say that about really any other tight ends other than the top 5. So yeah, start Kyle Pitts. DK, Pittman, or Flowers. Pick one. Yeah, it's Pittman. It's Pittman over DK and Flowers this week, I think, pretty easily. Good matchup, honestly, against the Ravens for him. Zay Flowers has a good matchup against the Colts, too. But, yeah, I feel pretty good about Pittman. Stroud or Jimmy G? Yeah, I have Jimmy G, I think, ahead of Stroud this week. Good matchup for Jimmy G against the Steelers. Myers or Judy? Yeah, I like Myers more than Judy. I do like Judy this week, though. Also, why are we starting Judy? Yeah, so we're starting Jerry Judy, and Judy's also the free player prop of the day. And here's why. Now, let me pull up this on the YouTube Live as well. Jerry Judy played 68% of the snaps last week. That's it. Just 68% of the snaps for Judy last week. I would start Pickens over him, by the way. I would start Pickens over him. Saw that in the TikTok Live. But I do like Judy generally more than I think other people do this week. He had a 19% target share last week. Pretty good for a guy that only played 68% of the snaps. He's going to be above that snap percentage this week. Almost definitely. He avoided any injuries he avoided re-aggravating his injury last week, his hamstring injury. Guys, Jerry Jeudy was getting drafted in like the 4th, 5th round this year, well ahead of Courtland Sutton. And because it was really clear that Judy's the best receiver on the Broncos, and he's going to be the top target for the Broncos. And I think last week solidified that. 19% target share on just a 68% snap share. He had an inefficient day. He only finished with 25 yards on 3 catches. But guys, he suffered no setbacks. And he had at least a 20% target share, Jerry Jeudy, in 91% of his games last year. He has a pretty good floor, and we know the ceiling's there for Jeudy too, one of the better route runners in the league. They're 6.5-point underdogs against the Dolphins today in what could be a really high-scoring game. The Broncos defense will not stop the Dolphins offense today, and I don't know if the Dolphins defense will stop the Broncos offense very much either. I really like Jeudy for that reason too. And the Dolphins, they did allow several players, both Devontae Parker and Keenan Allen, to go over 57 receiving yards. Jeudy's line's at 49.5. Again, I think he's the clear top option for Russ in this offense. So yeah, I do like Jerry Jeudy this week, and I like his prop. I don't think he's a must start in all spots by any means. Like I would start George Pickens over him, for example, but I do like Jeudy nonetheless. All right, Kelly, Stevenson, or Mike Evans in order for start. Go Pats. Leo, this is the biggest Pats game I can remember in recent memory this early in the season. Like, just a colossally massive game for the Pats. I'm nervous as a Pats fan today. Even though they're playing the Jets, they should beat the Jets. The Patriots really should beat the Jets. The Jets offense should not be able to move the ball, even without 3 of the top 4 corners for the Pats in a game that's rainy and windy. But the Pats are going to struggle to move the ball too. The Jets defense is very much the real deal. I think that the defenses in this game are going to score more than the offenses. That being said, I think I do have Ramondre Stevenson 2 spots ahead Josh Kelly. I would play Mondre over Kelly. The Pats can't throw. They're going to have to run in this game. I think I would go Stevenson. If this is PPR, I think I would go Mike Evans, Stevenson, Kelly. If this is not half PPR, I think I would go Stevenson, Kelly, Mike Evans. Yeah, I have Mike Evans as my number 14 receiver this week, though, against the Eagles. The Eagles are a pass funnel defense and also going to be up in that game, forcing the Bucs to throw. Hey, Sam, Godwin or Atwell? Yeah, I like Godwin more than Atwell. You know what time it is? Weatherman Sam. Woo! Let's go, Yarjma. Let's go, Weatherman Sam. Yeah, there is weather. There's weather today. This is really the first game this season I'm saying this. And there's been weather, to be aware of. And there's some other weather. I actually will pull this up. There's some other weather, just to be aware of. But there's really only one game that you really, I think, need to adjust expectations for and really expect less from the passing games. in the Patriots versus Jets game. There's rain throughout the game, plus winds sustained around 10 to 15 miles an hour. But the real concern here is the wind gusts, over 25 mile an hour wind gusts in this game. It is really, really hard to throw the ball deep with those wind gusts. This game was already going to be a defensive battle, but even more so than expected. The other games to be aware of, tiny bit windy in the Titans-Browns game, but nothing to be concerned about, around 10 mile an hour winds. The Colts versus Ravens game, going to be maybe some lingering rain, small winds, but nothing to be concerned about. Packers Saints game, there could be some wind gusts in the 15 to 20 mile an hour range, maybe a tiny bit of rain, but nothing to be concerned about there. The Broncos Dolphins game, there could be some scattered showers, but nothing sustained throughout the game. Not worried about that one. The Bills Commanders, there's going to be a tiny bit of rain and a tiny bit of wind. Also nothing to be concerned about. Same thing with the Panthers and the Seahawks. Same thing with the Bears and Chiefs. Same thing with the Eagles and Bucks. So yeah, really just the Patriots and Jets game is the game to be concerned about. Do not start Mac Jones. Do not start Zach Wilson, obviously. But Garrett Wilson is another guy that I'm kind of concerned about, given this weather report. Start Hunter Henry or Evan Ingram? Yeah, it's Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's a good spot today without Zay Jones. I think Evan Ingram's top 5 play. He's the last of the tight ends I'm starting over Kyle Pitts. Hopkins or Ford in the flex. Yeah, I think I would lean. If it's a PPR league, I think I would lean Hopkins. Myers or Nacua, yeah, you cannot bench Puka Nacua. There's no benching Puka Nacua. It really is not. Like, unless you have really, really elite options. Puka Nacua is my number 12 wide receiver this week. The only receivers I'm playing over Puka Nacua are Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley. That's it. 11 guys. I'm starting over Puka Nacua. Myers or Gibbs at flex. Guys, you got to start Jahmyr Gibbs this week. He's my number 4 running back this week, especially if you're in a PPR league. Wheels up for Jahmyr Gibbs. Guys, Jahmyr Gibbs had a 27% target share last week. You do not see running backs get a 27% target share in the NFL. And there's no David Montgomery, so his carries are probably going to go up. It's not a great matchup for him against the Falcons. They've been pretty good, honestly, against the run and against running backs. But yeah, I really think you got to be playing Jahmyr Gibbs pretty aggressively today. Gibbs or Kyron Williams? Yeah, Gibbs over Kyron Williams. What is the reason for starting Kyle Pitts? The ceiling is really, really high for Kyle Pitts. The Lions are bottom 3 defense against tight ends this season. They allowed over 100 yards to the Seahawks tight ends last week. Kyle Pitts is better than all of those guys. The Falcons could be playing from behind in this game too. Start Kyle Pitts unless you have Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, or Evan Ingram. Hey, Sam, pick one PPR. Roshan Johnson or Samaje Perine. Yeah, I feel better about Roshan than Perine at this point. And I think Roshan Johnson, he really should be rostered in all leagues. I think Roshan Johnson has league-winning upside. He had seven catches or 7 targets in week 1 as a rookie. Yo. Gabriel, what's going on? Non-PPR, pick 2, Judy, Stevenson, Higgins. Non-PPR leagues, you almost always want to lean running backs over receivers. So it's definitely Stevenson and Judy for me in this one over T. Higgins. I do not think Joe Burrow is going to play tomorrow night. KC defense or Jets defense? Both really, really good options. I think KC defense is probably a little bit better, but man, Jets defense shaping up pretty well too. Chase or Myers? This one's tough. I am starting Jamar Chase still over Jacoby Myers. Love the channel. Sam, thanks, man. Yeah, guys, if you haven't yet, make sure you hit the follow button if you're watching live on TikTok. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching live on YouTube, and hit the like button too on both TikTok and YouTube. I can't emphasize enough. It takes you like 2 seconds to tap the screen for a like and to press the like button on YouTube. It helps me way more than you would realize, like way more. So really do appreciate that. Jerome Ford or Kendra Miller? Yeah, I'd go Ford over Kendra Miller. Rashad White, Mike Thomas, Tutu Atwell, full PPR. Pick 2. I think Rashad White for sure here. And I think Michael Thomas over Tutu as well. Love the app, Sam. Thanks, man. Yeah, the best way you can support me, other than liking and following, is downloading the WalterPicks app for free in the iOS and Android app store. Links in the YouTube description. Link is in the TikTok bio. Pick 2 PPR. Gibbs, Kyron Williams, Ramondre. It's the first 2. Start Gibbs and Kyron. I have them both as top 7 running backs this week. I have Mondre at number 10. All 3 good options, but Gibbs and Kyron are I think, pretty substantially better than Ramondre. Hey, need you to pick 2. Madison, Brian Robinson, Zach Moss, Jerome Ford, or Joshua Kelly, PPR. Yeah, it's Josh Kelly, and it's Alexander Madison. I think Kelly and Madison over Zach Moss, over Brian Robinson, over Jerome Ford. I'm a little nervous about Jerome Ford. I would play him, I think, over DeAndre Swift. That one's pretty close. But the Titans defense is good, guys. The Titans defense is good. I'm playing Jamar over Judy. Madison, Moss, Aaron Jones, pick 2. Yeah, I'd bench Moss, I think, in that one. Garrett Wilson or Mike Williams? Got to be Mike Williams. Gibbs or Ridley, that one's close. That one's really close. I think Gibbs over Ridley still, but I really like Ridley this week too. All right, let's pull up the picks against the spread here on the YouTube Live as I talk through some more of these start sits. Kelly or James Cook? I like Josh Kelly more than James Cook this week. Start Jamar or Josh Reynolds. God, this is how down bad we are with Jamar Chase. You're starting him over Josh Reynolds. Goff or Burrow? Yeah, you got to bench Burrow. I don't think he's going to play. You got to play. You got to play Jared Goff. Pat Freiermuth or Zach Ertz PPR? Got to be Zach Ertz over Pat Freiermuth. Download the app. Enrique, thank you so much, man. Really do appreciate it. Again, this is the best way you could possibly support me is just checking out the WalterPicks app and trying it out. Pick one for wide receiver: Devontae Smith, DK Metcalf, or Jacoby. It's got to be Devontae Smith. And at running back, pick three. So you're starting the last three here. I'd bench Miles Sanders. I'd start the last three. Miles Sanders hasn't been bad, but in general, I like him less than those other three. Love your work. Thanks, man. I appreciate the positivity. All the positivity, guys. I do appreciate it. When you're online, as much as I am in my job as a content creator, you see a lot of negativity. And this is just normal. And I always do. I'm pretty good about focusing on the positives and not focusing on the negatives. But I appreciate you guys sending positivity. I am big about positivity and negativity. They're both super contagious in life. So I appreciate the positivity. Love your work. Thanks, man. Dak or Tua? Yeah, I'd go Tua over Dak. Let me pull up the QB rankings. I like Dak like a decent amount today against the Cardinals. I do think they could be pretty run heavy against the Cardinals. But Tua, I love today. I think Tua and Kirk Cousins, both top 5 options today. I have them over Herbert and Lamar. Both are also in my top 7. I feel really good about the top 7 quarterbacks today. Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, Tua, Herbert, and Lamar. All 7 really good options. Some sneakier guys that I like. Russell Wilson, I think, is probably my favorite sneaky play. I think he's interesting to stack with Judy in tournaments on DraftKings and FanDuel. Hey, Sam, should I start Gus Edwards or Robert Woods? Go with Gus Edwards. Pretty good spot for Edwards to score a touchdown this week against the Colts. They're huge favorites in that game. Hunter Henry or Marquise Brown? Yeah, don't start 2 tight ends. I'm okay going Marquise Brown over Hunter Henry. Tank Dell or DK Metcalf? Yeah, I'd play DK Metcalf still over Tank Dell. Godwin or Tank Dell is a little bit closer, I think. I'll pull up my wide receiver rankings again on the YouTube Live. Again, link to the YouTube Live right in the TikTok bio. And you can get my top 25 rankings every single position if you come to the YouTube Live. Amari Cooper and Nico Collins. I'd go Amari Cooper over Nico Collins. I would go Tank versus D-Hop is close. I think I would go D-Hop over Tank, though. I would not play D-Hop over Mike Williams. You got to start Mike Williams and Keenan Allen this week for sure. Got to start both those guys. Mike Williams, Amari Cooper, or Puka Nacua. Yeah, you got to start Puka. You got to start Puka over Mike Williams even, I think. I have Puka. Yeah, I have Puka one spot ahead of Mike Williams. Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. Mike Evans over Chris Godwin at this point. Aaron Jones or Jacoby Myers in PPR. Got to be Jacoby Myers. Aaron Jones is still questionable. We still do not know if Aaron Jones is playing. Okay. Austin Eckler is hopeful to play next week, but the week 5 bye is looming. I think he's going to be held out next week too. Definitely start Calvin Ridley today. Keenan Allen should be started. Zay Flowers is a good spot against the Colts. Amari Cooper, start him. Jordan Addison, start him today as well. Jordan Addison, I think I like more than Zay Flowers even, but both guys are definitely good spots. White or Mostert? Yeah, I like Mostert a little bit more than Rashad White this week. Hello, Sam, app user here. Sam, thanks, man. If Aaron Jones is out, should I start A.J. Dillon or Romeo Doubs, half PPR? If Aaron Jones is out, go Dillon. And if Aaron Jones is in, start Aaron Jones over both these guys. We do have Aaron Jones picked right now. Against the spread picks, yep, let me pull these up. I'll talk through my favorite ones. My favorite one did hit last week. I am still below 50% against the spread. Obviously, spreads are tough. Even being close to 50%, I feel okay about. I do like the Falcons +3. I think the Falcons can win this game straight up today against the Lions. I like the Broncos +5.5 too. I think they can contend in that game. I also do really like the Steelers +2.5 against the Raiders. I think the Steelers beat the Raiders. I was a little surprised to see them as underdogs. I know they are playing in Vegas. And I also like the Rams +2.5 too. That game's tomorrow against the Bengals. But without Joe Burrow, I don't think Joe Burrow is going to play. I like the Rams to beat the Bengals in that game. And then all of a sudden the Bengals could be 0-3 this week too. Stafford, Dak, or Justin Fields. 2 different PPR leagues. And your coffee order must be crazy. The energy is unreal. Yeah, I hammer coffee on Sundays, especially. And this is my second cup of the day, and it's pretty strong coffee, as you can tell. Stafford, Dak, or Justin Fields. Yeah, I would. Let me pull the QB rankings here again. I think I have Dak, then Fields, then Stafford. I don't necessarily hate Stafford. The Bengals defense has been pretty good, though, this season so far. And yeah, I think Dak for sure is the play here over Fields and over Stafford against the Cardinals. Two different PPR leagues. PPR obviously doesn't matter for the quarterbacks, but appreciate the context nonetheless. But yeah, I would go Dak over Fields, and then I would go Fields over Stafford, I think, too. But I'm nervous for Fields, man, today. This is not a good matchup for the Bears offense. Marquise Brown or Tank Dell? Yeah, I'd go Tank Dell. Why start Tank Dell? Because he had, 10 targets last week for Tank Dell without Noah Brown in the lineup. Tank Dell is going to be very involved. And Tank Dell is very, very good with the ball in his hands. He's really, really, really talented at yards after the catch. Keep grinding, Sam. Thanks, Josh. PPR, start at flex. Josh Kelly or Chris Godwin? Yeah, it's Josh Kelly. It's Josh Kelly over Chris Godwin for sure for me. I like Josh Kelly a lot today. We saw Josh Kelly get 16 carries with Austin Eckler in the lineup. I like him over James Cook, too. I'm seeing that one in the TikTok live. Josh Kelly set 16 carries in week one. Let's pull up Josh Kelly here really quick before I get to this question from Luke here on the YouTube live. That seemed like a good one. Josh Kelly, if we just pull up his game log quick here from the WalterPicks app. By the way, love these game logs in the WalterPicks app this year. Really, really, really good stuff. Week one, we see Josh Kelly get only 39% of the snaps. Right, Austin Eckler was playing. But he saw 16 carries, turned that into 91 rushing yards against the Dolphins and scored a touchdown. I like the Javonte Williams, by the way, today against the Dolphins. I have him in my DraftKings lineup. Dolphins run defense has not been great this season. And he only had one target, though, in week one. And then Austin Eckler's out week two, but he gets a really tough matchup against the Titans. This is why I'm not super excited about Jerome Ford today, because the Titans' defense, their defensive line is very, very good. Top 5 defensive line in the league, in my opinion, and their secondary sucks. So they are a pass funnel defense. And I think we're going to see that for the Browns today. They're going to have to pass a lot. They're not going to be able to run very much against the Titans. But this usage from Josh Kelly, 79% snap share with Austin Eckler out. So that's closer to a workhorse role. Like, this is the type of the snap share we see from Josh Jacobs, for example. So yeah, I like that usage from Josh Kelly. He saw 13 carries because the Titans defensive line was really good and this game was close, but he did see way more routes. He didn't turn those into targets. But yeah, the usage is super, super strong for him. And now he gets a way easier matchup against the Vikings this week in what should be a high-scoring game. Wheels up for Josh Kelly. I'm not panicking about what he did last week in a tough matchup against the Titans. I thought he was a must-start last week, too, against the Titans. And that usage, to me, I think that process was fine. This week, the matchup's even better. Start Josh Kelly. All right, full PPR format. Amari Cooper, Nico Collins. Amari over Nico for sure. And then James Cook, Rachaad White, or Zach Moss. Oh, God, yeah, this one's close. And James Cook is a really, really tough one for me because on one side, the usage for James Cook has been super, super strong. He saw 17 carries week one, I think 18 carries last week. Really strong carry numbers for James Cook. He went over 100 yards last week. He's seeing targets, 4 catches in each game so far this season for James Cook. But he's coming off the field in the goal line situations. So the touchdown projection is really tough for him. I think Rachaad White is okay here. Zach Moss is close too. But yeah, I would think I would go Rachaad White, then Zach Moss, then James Cook. I think that's how I would do it. How do you feel about Najee? They're saying they're going to give more touches to Warren today. Yeah, Jackson. Jalen Warren's looked way better. I mean, way better. Let's compare these two, Jackson. I'm feeling pretty good about Najee today overall because of the matchup. I think this is by far the best matchup for Najee so far this season. Let's pull up Najee and Jalen Warren here. Let's compare these two. I think they're actually really close in projections, and they're both decent options because of the matchup. Yeah, Najee's still projected ahead of him. I agree with this. I would play Najee over Jalen Warren pretty easily. The Raiders have been horrible against running backs this season. Jalen Warren has been way better than Najee Harris, but I still think Najee Harris is the better bet to get the goal line carries. I still think Najee Harris is the better bet to get more touches in general than Jalen Warren. And I think this could be a game where we see, you can see he's gotten more carries, better yards per carry, even for Najee than Jalen Warren. That's actually a little surprising. This yards per carry number is actually better than I would have expected for Najee. Najee still, though, he just cannot make explosive plays. Like, he cannot get plays over 15 yards, which is just brutal for fantasy and in general for the Steelers. But yeah, it's a good matchup. I like Najee more than Jalen. I think Najee can't have a 2-touchdown game today. Like, that's definitely in his range of outcomes. So I'm okay with Najee in general today. Hey, Sam, should I accept this trade? All right, let's do this. We got a WalterPicks trade analyzer that we can do here on the live stream. Let me pull this up on the YouTube live. Guys, we got a new trade analyzer released in the WalterPicks app just this past week that is just amazing. Definitely for free too. Everything I do on the screen right now on the YouTube live, again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. We're about to analyze the trade in the WalterPicks trade analyzer that was asked in the YouTube comments. We got Mike Williams. We got Deebo Samuel, too, here. Wow. And Tyler Algier. And on the other side, we got Kyron Williams and Lockett. And Kyron Williams is pretty valuable. I traded for him myself, but there's some pretty valuable players on the other side of this, too. And we're going to analyze this trade. And while the Kyron Williams side wins this trade, there's just not that many running backs that are going to get the usage that Kyron Williams is looking like he's going to get. Check this out, guys. Kyron Williams, 99% snap share last week. He's got 3 touchdowns this season, and he saw 10 targets this week. Last week, I mean. Like 10 targets, now we're talking Jahmyr Gibbs category. Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way, he had a 27% target share. He had less targets than this last week, but 27% target share for Jahmyr Gibbs. We could see 10-plus target games for Jahmyr Gibbs. That's why I have Gibbs ahead of Kyron Williams this week. But yeah, Kyron Williams' side, I think, wins this trade. I like Mike Williams and Deebo a lot, but Lockett's just as good as them. I would probably argue this trade value is maybe a little high for Lockett here in comparison to these other two guys. To me, I would say they're all three maybe pretty close together in trade value. But yeah, I don't think now's a good time to trade away Kyron Williams. I don't think I would do it. All right. Hey, Sam. Great work so far. Thanks, man. Pick 2, Devontae Smith, Mike Will, Mike Pittman. Jefferson is my other. Also, Jalen Warren or Ford. Oh, man. Yeah, Jalen Warren versus Jerome Ford is tough. Jerome Ford, in my eyes, is going to get more touches. And I feel like I have Jerome Ford pretty far ahead of him in these rankings. Actually, not that far. There are 2 spots in my running back rankings this week. Jalen Warren's got such a better matchup than him. Jerome Ford against the Titans is like the Titans. We're going to do this comparison because I actually am going to move. I actually do feel better about Jalen Warren than I do Jerome Ford. I'm going to play Jalen Warren over Jerome Ford this week. And let me pull up the running back rankings here again. And I actually want to do this comparison live on the YouTube live too. Jalen Warren versus Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford is not a guy I want to start this week because he's playing the Titans. Meanwhile, Jalen Warren has a fantastic matchup against the Raiders. You got to take into account the matchups. And yeah, Walter agrees. It's Jalen Warren over Jerome Ford. Look at the difference here in the defenses on the YouTube live. Check this out. The Raiders have allowed 24 points per game to running backs this season. The Titans, 6 points per game. 4 times the points per game for the Raiders versus the Titans, if I'm doing my mental math correctly. So yeah, you got to start Jalen Warren over Jerome Ford. And this is why the WalterPicks app is so useful. All right. Great work so far. I appreciate the positivity, by the way. Devontae Smith, Mike Will, Mike Pittman. 3 really, really good options here at wide receiver. Let's actually pull up the wide receiver rings here, and we're going to see these guys on the screen super fast. And the answer is Devontae Smith, by the way. Devontae Smith should be played over Mike Williams. He should play over Mike Pittman. Devontae Smith is basically just as good as A.J. Brown. And he's, to me, like been one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league because of that for a while. He's obviously, people know he's good. I think he's great. You got to start Devontae Smith basically every week. Which 2 do I start? Amon-Ra, Puka, Jamar. It's the first 2. You got to bench Jamar for Puka, and you got to bench Jamar for Amon-Ra too. Sam, thank you so much for the advice. As always, your recent YouTube video was also a good watch. Yeah, the daily draft video, hopefully the one you're talking about. If you guys have not played daily drafts on Sleeper yet, it is by far my favorite daily fantasy game. It's honestly not close. I think it's by far the best DFS game I've ever played, and I've been playing it a lot this season. I have a $500 weekly budget on the daily drafts, and I've won 2 straight weeks. This week's going to be my 3rd straight week winning the daily drafts on Sleeper. It's 8-person PPR drafts, and then it's $1 drafts, and you can play head-to-head contests after the draft if you like your team. And that's what I do, the head-to-head contest at just $5 per head-to-head. Anyways, you like any other player props except Judy? Would love to hear. Yeah, I do really like the Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill props today. They're both around 100 yards. I think they both go over 100 yards today pretty easily. I think Jefferson's going over 150 today. So yeah, I like both those guys in their props as well. Goddard or Hunter Henry? It's Goddard. Yeah, I think the top 5 tight ends today, pretty clear in my opinion. You got to start Kelsey, then you go Mark Andrews, then you go TJ Hawkinson, then you go Dallas Goedert, then you go Evan Ingram. I think those are pretty clearly the top 5. And I think the 6th is pretty clear too. That's Kyle Pitts. I'm starting Kyle Pitts after all those guys. Kirk Cousins or Justin Herbert. I got Kirk over Herbert. I like the Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson stack for you. Kelly or Sanders? Yeah, I'd go Kelly over Sanders. I'd go Amari Cooper over T. Higgins. Mostert or Sanders? Yeah, I'd go Mostert over Sanders too. Not a great matchup for Sanders this week. Hey, Sam, Aaron Jones is confirmed out now. Oh, wow. Let me see this report. Let's just confirm that he is confirmed out. Zay Jones confirmed out. I'm not seeing Aaron Jones and Christian Watson both out. Aaron Jones and Christian Watson both out today. Definitely that's huge. Let me see how that impacts the projections here in the WalterPicks app. And yeah, we're updating that right now. Appreciate you, Sam, if you're watching live, that you're updating this. And yeah, Christian Watson out. Definitely that gives a bump to both Dobbs and Jaden Reed. Like Jaden Reed a lot more now. And A.J. Dillon, startable again this week, guys. A.J. Dillon is now startable. Let me update the running back rankings here and get to this comment after that. Appreciate you shouting this in the comments. Aaron Jones out today. Christian Watson out again today. That's wheels up for A.J. Dillon again, even though it's a slightly difficult matchup. And it is definitely good for Dobbs and Jaden Reed too. All right, let me find Aaron Jones. I had him at number 14, I think, 15. And he's going to move down. I'm going to put A.J. Dillon. He's probably right around here in these rankings. He's probably going to be even above this in the WalterPicks app too. I mean, he's going to get another week. Another really good opportunity for A.J. Dillon. Okay, let me update the running back rankings here. And we did. I have A.J. Dillon slotting in at number 18 running back now. All right, so Rachaad White, A.J. Dillon, Kelly, and Swift. I would start Kelly over A.J. Dillon still. I would. Rachaad White, I think, is closer to the A.J. Dillon territory. I would start A.J. Dillon and Rachaad White over Swift, though. I would. So it's between A.J. Dillon and Rachaad White. And honestly, I think A.J. Dillon. I think A.J. Dillon over Rachaad White. Let's see. Actually, I have Rachaad White over A.J. Dillon here. I'm going to change that here in the rankings. Let's move Rachaad White down just a little bit here. Usage for Rachaad White has been good, though. It has been good for Rachaad White. He gets the Eagles, though. It's just really not that good of a matchup for him. We're going to move Rachaad White down a little bit here, too. All right, here's the updated running back rankings. Okay, Pickens, Chase, Ridley, or Lamb. You got to start Ridley, and you got to start Lamb. You got to start Ridley and Lamb. Keep up the hard work. Been here every weekend. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, that's what you can't bench Ridley or Lamb. You definitely can't bench Lamb. Sam, Tad, full PPR. You finally gave us the scoring settings, Tad. Let's go, man. Let's go. DJ Moore or Mostert. And the full PPR context, it definitely does help here. And I'm still leaning Mostert over DJ Moore. This is a good matchup for Raheem Mostert. Let's do this comparison actually in the WalterPicks app. We were just comparing Jaylen Warren and Jerome Ford, by the way. You got to start Jaylen Warren over Jerome Ford. Look at the differences here in the defensive matchups. Let's look up now, though, DJ Moore and Mostert. I'm definitely going Mostert over DJ Moore. I'm interested, though, just to show you how good the matchup is for Raheem Mostert this week. And yeah, the Broncos guys are allowing 20 points per game to running backs this season. Not a horrible matchup for DJ Moore, but in general, I'm pretty nervous for the Bears offense today, guys. The Chiefs defense matches up so well against the Bears offense. The Bears offensive line is bad. The Chiefs defensive line, very good. Probably top 5 in the league. Not going to be good for the Bears. They could get crushed. I mean, crushed in this game. Raheem Mostert has a pretty good floor, pretty good ceiling. No Jeff Wilson still. Devon Achane is going to play this week. But yeah, good matchup against the Broncos. And Mostert saw, 70%? 72% of the snaps, back-to-back weeks with pretty encouraging usage here from Raheem Mostert. He had 18 carries last week against the Pats, 121, 2 TDs. He had a big run in that game too. We could see something similar today. I like Raheem Mostert a lot. I think he has to be started over DJ Moore. All right, let's get back to some of these start sits. Zay Flowers or Madison. Zay Flowers, I like him more than Madison. I think I would play Zay Flowers over Madison. I think Flowers has a lower floor but higher ceiling than Madison. There's no OBJ today too, so that's big for Flowers and Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar and maybe Mark Andrews too. Hey, Sam, pick one. D-Hop, Nico, Jordan Addison. Yeah, it's Jordan Addison today, guys. Jordan Addison against the Chargers has too high of a ceiling. Thanks for the stream, Sam. James Conner, Kendra Miller, Roshan Johnson. Pick one in PPR. This one I feel like has to be James Conner. I'm nervous for Conner against the Cowboys. Definitely. But yeah, it's got to be Conner, I think, over these guys. And then T. Higgins or Myers. I'm going Myers over T. Higgins. Have a great Sunday. See you Thursday as well. Kylo, Harris, Pickens, Conner, pick 2, non-PPR. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm assuming this is Najee Harris versus George Pickens. Yeah, I think you played both Najee and Pickens today over James Conner. Both Najee and Pickens, they get the Raiders. Bad against receivers, bad against running backs, really bad against running backs. I think Najee has a pretty good chance at touchdowns today. Pierce needs to have a game. Yeah, man. I've been saying bench Pierce every week so far this season. It's not changing for me this week. Sam, what is up? What's going on, Zachary? In desperate need for a running back, starting Craig Reynolds. Yeah, tough. Do I trade Jacoby Myers for Gus Edwards or Eckler for Rashad White and B-Rob? I don't like either of these trades. Jacoby's way too much better than Gus Edwards. Eckler's too much better than Rashad and B-Rob when he comes back. I have T, Waddle, Kirk, D-Hop, PPR. I would honestly be more interested in trading T, I think, than Jacoby. I feel like you might be able to get more for T. Higgins than Jacoby, too. Also, do we have DFS? Yeah, let me pull the DFS lineup here for you. Zach, thanks for calling that out. I like this DFS lineup a decent amount this week. Last week, we didn't cash. Last week was a bad week for the DFS lineup. And the week before that, though, we did cash. And we had Tyreek Hill in that lineup. And this week, to me, if you're playing in tournaments on DraftKings or FanDuel, it's got to have Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill in there. It's really tough to get both them in there. I was trying as hard as I could this morning to fit them both in because to me, their ceilings, both these guys' ceilings, like really unmatched. I think even across all positions, unmatched ceilings for Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill. This is why Jefferson went 1 overall in fantasy. This is why Tyreek Hill probably should have gotten 2nd overall. In fantasy, it's why Chase went 2nd overall. Obviously, he's not panning out with the Joe Burrow stuff. I still think Chase has to be started in almost all spots. Anyways, I'm starting Justin Jefferson in this lineup, stacking it with Kirk Cousins and running it back with Mike Williams. You obviously got to get exposure to this Vikings-Chargers game. By far the highest over-under of the week. Playing in a dome, the Chargers defense has been horrible against the pass. The Vikings defense hasn't been great this year either. I really like stacking this game. So I'm going with Kirk, Justin Jefferson stack. I also really like Jahmyr Gibbs this week against the Falcons. We get Jahmyr Gibbs versus Bijan Robinson today. Both of them in their rookie seasons. Week 3, both in my top 4 running backs in PPR leagues today. I pumped to see those two play against each other. And yeah, Gibbs locked and loaded at this price on DraftKings, man. I mean, he had a 27% target share last week for the Lions. There's no David Montgomery this week. He could see more carries, and you just don't see receivers see that type of pass game usage that Jahmyr Gibbs saw last week. I'm encouraged that could continue. Javonte Williams against the Dolphins. Dolphins run defense has not been good. I like some exposure to this game too. The Broncos-Dolphins game could easily be the highest scoring game of the week. The Dolphins games have been super high scoring this season. So yeah, I like the Dolphins offense. I like Javonte Williams too. I had to pay down at some of these other positions though, because I'm shoving in Justin Jefferson and I'm shoving in Mike Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs. And these guys cost a decent amount on DraftKings. And the tight end, I think you just have to play in tournaments this week is Kyle Pitts. I don't think that many people are going to be playing Kyle Pitts this week. People hate Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has such a sour taste in people's mouth. And to me, the ceiling is there for Kyle Pitts. We've seen him in games in the past go over 40% target shares. We've seen games from Kyle Pitts where he goes over 200 air yards. You just don't see games like that from tight ends. Is the floor low for Kyle Pitts? Sure. I don't really care that much about the floor, though, in tournaments. I care about the ceiling. And the ceiling is there for Kyle Pitts against the Lions. The Lions have allowed over 100 receiving yards to tight ends last week. They allowed over 100 receiving yards to Noah Fant and Will Dissly and Colby Parkinson. Kyle Pitts is better than all those guys combined. So yeah, I like Kyle Pitts. He still has seen a 17% target share in both games. Not like he hasn't been used. Jonnu Smith getting used more than him last week and doing more was definitely tough to see. But yeah, I like Kyle Pitts in tournaments. I like Kyle Pitts over most tight ends this week after the top 5 of Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, Evan Ingram. All right, I also like Elijah Moore against the Titans. Elijah Moore sneakily went over 100 air yards last week, and the Titans secondary has not been good, and they're a pass funnel defense. I actually think the Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, or Deshaun Watson, Elijah Moore stack, kind of interesting in tournaments too. Don't think that many people will be on that. And then finally, I'm playing Tank Dell, and I'm playing the Patriots defense against the Jets. Hey, Sam, I'm struggling with this league. I have Garrett Wilson, Madison, Kelly Kirk, Brian Robinson, and Hall, and I can start 2. Yeah, so I don't know the scoring settings here. So that's a little bit tougher. But generally, I think you got to start Joshua Kelly. I like Christian Kirk too. I think Josh Kelly, Christian Kirk are the 2 guys to play here. Don't play Garrett Wilson in general if you don't need to. Garrett Wilson is definitely a risk this week. With Jair Alexander out, do I start Olave or Nakua? I got to start Nakua over Olave. But yeah, I like Olave a lot. Kirk and Madison. Yeah, I like Kirk more than Madison. All right. Hey, Sam, love your work. Thanks, man. Pick 3, A.J. Brown, Ridley, Garrett Wilson, Rob, Woods, Kendrick Bourne, JSN. First 2 for sure. These guys shouldn't even this should be a pick 1. A.J. Brown and Ridley locked in every single week, basically. You can't start Kendrick Bourne this week. There's over 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts happening in this Patriots-Jets game, and it's going to be raining, and the Jets defense is really good. Don't start Kendrick Bourne. I don't really love Robert Woods either, and I don't like Garrett Wilson that much either because of that same game environment. I like JSN more than all of them. So yeah, I'd go A.J. Brown, Ridley, JSN here. And I think JSN has a much higher ceiling than most people realize. Okay. Burrow or Stafford? Burrow's probably not going to play. You got to go Stafford. Ertz or Kincaid? Yeah, I'd go Ertz over Kincaid. Tua over Burrow for sure. Mike Williams or Ridley? Got to go Ridley over Mike Will, even though I like Mike Williams a lot. Hey, Sam, should I put Najee, Brian Robinson, or Drake London at the flex? Brian Robinson was the number 1 running back in fantasy last week. Number 1 running back in fantasy. I still think I like Najee more than him this week. I do feel touchdowns coming for Najee against this Raiders defense. As bad as Najee has looked, as good as Jalen Warren has looked compared to him, Najee Harris actually averaging like twice the yards per carry than Jalen Warren, which I don't think people would have expected. Let's do this comparison, all three of these guys. Drake London in here as well. Drake London does have the higher PPR projection. So if this is PPR, it's close. I still think I would go Najee Harris over Drake London, just given the matchup. It's a good matchup for Drake London, too. The ceiling's there for Drake London. Brian Robinson's been way better than these two guys. But yeah, matchup-based this week, I'm okay going Najee, then Drake London, then Brian Robinson. If it's PPR, though, you really can go Drake London, I think, too, in that spot. Hey, Sam, appreciate the compliment. I meant to say start three: Lamb, Chase, Ridley, and Pickens. Sorry for the misunderstanding. All good. Yeah, these three. You got to bench Chase. You got to bench Chase. It's Lamb, it's Ridley, it's Pickens. I play Pickens over Jamar Chase this week. I don't feel great about that. I think I have Chase over Pickens. Oh, man. I feel very nervous about Jamar Chase, but he's still Jamar Chase. Let me do this comparison here. I know that I do not think Joe Burrow is going to play this week. I know he's still questionable, so he still could play. Let's do Jamar versus Pickens. The target share for Pickens last week was so encouraging. And I think Walter is going to, it's Pickens over Jamar. I go Pickens over Jamar. Walter would go Pickens over Jamar. It feels wrong. It just feels wrong. The matchup's better for Pickens. The game environment's better for Pickens, probably. Pickens has been better so far this season than Jamar Chase. Gosh, yeah, I think it's Pickens over Jamar. It doesn't sit well with me, and I have Jamar higher in my rankings. I feel like I should change that now. I'm going to move Jamar down just a little bit further after looking at that. Oh, God, he's going to be down at number 20. In most spots, I really still think you got to be starting Jamar. Yeah, Pickens is looking pretty good. I'm going to move Chris Olave up ahead of Pickens, too, now that Jair Alexander was ruled out. And we will update these wide receiver ranks one more time. And yeah, I got Jamar down to number 20 now in these wide receiver rankings. I'm going to refresh TikTok Live again. Be right back on the TikTok Live. All right. Let's get this off the screen. And restart the TikTok Live. TikTok Live being a little glitchy today. The free player prop today, guys, it's Jerry Jeudy. It's Jerry Jeudy over 49.5. This is one of the lower prop lines we've seen for Jeudy in the last 10 games for him. Actually, let me pull this up. If you guys haven't seen the new prop evaluator yet in the WalterPicks app, guys, this thing is a cheat code for player props. Let me pull up Jeudy. Not only is this going to show you just which props Walter likes the most compared to the prop lines, but also you can just see how they performed against these prop lines in the past. This is how Jeudy done against this 49.5 yards line. He's cleared it in 7 of his last 10 games. Also this week 10 game, I'm pretty sure got hurt in, so I wouldn't even really count this week 10 game in this. And then on top of that, he played 67% of the snaps last week, still saw 19% target share. I think both those numbers go up this week. Jerry Jeudy went over 20% target share last season in 91% of his games. So almost every game he's going over 20% target share. I think he's the clear top receiver for the Broncos in a game that should be pretty high scoring against the Dolphins. Yeah, I like this one a lot. I like Jeudy over 49.5. You can find this basically everywhere. Also, as always, if you're going to play Pick'em on Sleeper, use code Walter. Sleeper's where I'm doing the Pick'ems this year. And if you've never deposited on Sleeper before, you get a 100% deposit match with code Walter, up to $100. You can find a link to Sleeper in the YouTube description. Also, can just use the code even without the link. Sam, remember me from last week. Justin, you got me in the win. Would you start Connor or Brian Robinson and then Lockett or Addison? Justin, I remember all of you every single week. Okay. I'm actually pretty good with remembering names from the comment section. And I try to get to as many comments as I can, obviously. So there's a lot of names. But Justin, glad to hear you got the dub last week. Connor or Brian Robinson? I don't feel good about Connor at all this week. I think it's B-Rob. And then Lockett or Addison. Yeah, this one's super close. Look at this in my wide receiver rankings. At Addison, then Lockett. I think it's Addison. Huge ceiling for both every week. But yeah, Addison against the Chargers, man. Wheels up. Start Addison. Morning, Sam. Fire up Kendra Miller this week. Also, do I play Sky Moore at flex over Dotson? Nope, do not like Sky Moore at flex over Dotson. I would play Dotson over Sky Moore. I don't love either of them, but I play Dotson over Sky Moore. Wide receivers are Judy and JSN. Opponent has Mahomes as QB. Yeah, it doesn't really change my opinion too much here. Sky Moore has 3 catches this season. One of them went for a touchdown. One of them went for like 60 yards. That's it. Like, his floor is so low. His snap share also went down last week, even though he played better. I know Kadarius Toney's questionable in this one. Richie James is going to be out too, so maybe he'll play more. Yeah, I just don't feel great about Sky Moore overall. All right, Judy and JSN are good. Yeah, Kendrick Miller's definitely in play. Kendrick Miller's in play this week. I don't feel great about him. I still think Taysom Hill is going to get some run for sure. Ridley or Mike Williams has got to be Ridley over Mike Williams. Why is Tank Dell must start? Because Tank Dell had 10 catches or 10 targets last week, maybe 7 catches for Tank Dell last week. Why sit Jerome Ford? The Titans' defensive line is legit. Do not start Jerome Ford. If you can bench him, you should. Jerome Ford's playing the Titans defense, which is top 3 against running backs this season. Let me read you some stats from the Titans defense and why you like. I think the usage for Jerome Ford is going to be good. I'm not that worried about Kareem Hunt. I think he's going to get by far the most of the work in the backfield. But you look at the Titans against running backs. The Titans have been the number 1 defense against running backs this season. Week 1, Jamal Williams, 7 points. That's it for Jamal Williams on 20 touches. He had 7 points. Josh Kelly last week, only 4 points. He had 13 touches in that game. I just don't feel good about running backs against the Titans. That's why you got to bench Jerome Ford. I still actually feel okay about his usage, and I'm not that worried about Kareem Hunt, but Kareem Hunt definitely could eat into that. All right, we got a question here about Jahmyr Gibbs and Ramondre Stevenson and Ridley and Devontae Smith and Puka Nacua, full PPR. You got to start so many of these guys. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely needs to be started in PPR leagues, all spots. I'm starting Jahmyr Gibbs over all these guys. And I know these are really good players here too. But you're starting Jahmyr Gibbs against the Lions. He had a 27% target share last week, and there's no David Montgomery. His carries are going to go up. His targets are at elite levels, huge in PPR formats. And then at wide receiver, man, Puka Nacua, Devontae Smith, Ridley, all of these are such fantastic options. My gut leans towards Devontae Smith over Ridley and over Puka Nacua. And yeah, my rankings agree with that. I think I have Smith. I'm skipping a ranking here. I'm going from 9 to 11. Anyways, I go Smith, then Ridley, then Puka. I go Smith, then Ridley, then Puka Nacua. It's because I've moved around the rankings a decent amount on this live. All right, other PPR league, D-Hop T, Tutu in London. God, I just don't feel great about T. Higgins at all. I think I would go Hopkins over all these guys. Hopkins or London. I would play Hopkins and London, I think, over Tutu and T this week. Some of these wide receiver rankings are definitely tough. J.C. Jackson is a healthy scratch. PPR, Judy or Flowers if Amon-Ra is out. Amon-Ra is going to play. So you're playing Amon-Ra over Flowers and Judy still. He's dealing with a toe injury. Do you still like Cooper over Olave now that Alexander is out? Yeah, so I updated the wide receiver rankings here, and I still think I have Amari Cooper ahead of Olave, 1 spot ahead of Olave. It's super close. But yeah, I think I still feel okay about that. Honestly, I don't know. Olave probably should be started ahead of him. I'm going to move Olave right after Pittman Jr. after thinking about this a little bit more and thinking through the numbers too. Like Olave's numbers have been elite. I'm going Olave over Amari Cooper with Jair Alexander out. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Guys, it does not feel like morning to me. I'm not going to lie. I've been up for 5 hours now, and I've been thinking about these games for 5 straight hours. And I'm here to share my insight with you to the best of my ability. I'm not going to get everything right. And I also can't get to every single comment. But the best thing you can do if I don't get to your comment is to check out the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store. It's free to download. It's going to help you with all your start-sit decisions. We just released a insane new trade analyzer that's way better than the past one. Super valuable for analyzing trades. And also weekly transaction advice, player prop advice, DFS advice, all in the WalterPicks app for you. And you can try it all for free right now. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Link is in the TikTok bio. Link is in the YouTube description. Also, it's just the best way you can support me is by checking out the WalterPicks app. All right, full PPR. Brian Robinson, Tyler Lockett, Dallas Goedert, or Ingram. Yeah, I got Goddard over Ingram by 1 spot. I got Lockett over Brian Robinson in a full PPR league as well. The tight end situation this week, guys, you got to start Kyle Pitts. Unless you have Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Goddard, or Ingram, you got to start Kyle Pitts. The ceiling is high for Kyle Pitts this week against the Lions. They allowed over 100 yards to tight ends last week against the Seahawks with Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, Noah Fant, all worse than Kyle Pitts. I really like the ceiling for Kyle Pitts this week. Everyone outside of the top 5 tight ends has a bad floor, Kyle Pitts included. All right, Chase, Olave, Jair ruled out Kyron Williams. Yeah, I'm playing Olave over Chase. I'm playing Kyron Williams over Chase. Both those guys over Chase. I like Kyron Williams, I think even maybe a tiny bit more than Olave, but it's close. It's definitely close in a full PPR league. Guys, Kyron Williams had 10 targets last week. 10 targets. Half PPR, pick 2. Godwin, DJ Moore, Najee. I think it's Godwin and Najee. I'm nervous for the Bears offense in general. Sam, I got a wild one, but hope you've had a great morning. I've had a great week. I've had a great morning. Hope all of you are having a great week and a great morning. It's going to be a fantastic day. And yeah, bench Jerome Ford. The Titans defense is number 1 against running backs this season. All right, flex. Kendre Miller, A.J. Dillon, Christian Kirk, or Tank Dell, full PPR. This one's really between Christian Kirk and A.J. Dillon. There's no Aaron Jones now. Aaron Jones is out. Christian Watson is out. That's huge for A.J. Dillon. I still think you go Christian Kirk, though, in a PPR league. With what we've seen from A.J. Dillon, I think you got to go Christian Kirk over him. Let me refresh the WalterPicks app here because I know we just updated the projections in the WalterPicks app with the news about Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So let me pull this up here with that. I'll show that in a second on the YouTube Live. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, guys. The YouTube Live is a better viewing experience. Link is right in the TikTok bio. I can share my screen to game logs as I talk about them, comparisons in the WalterPicks app as I talk about them, and I can show you my top 25 rankings, every single position, scrolling at the bottom of the screen on the YouTube Live. It's going to answer so many of the start sits I'm seeing in TikTok. Link is right in the TikTok bio for the YouTube Live. I will get to as many starts as I can from both live streams. I do like Elijah Moore and Judy this week. I like Judy more than Elijah Moore. I like Josh Kelly more than Tutu Atwell. All right, here's the comparison I wanted to do. Dillon and, yeah, man, Dillon's ranking super well now with with Aaron Jones out, and then Christian Kirk with Zay Jones out. Let me present this in the YouTube Live again, and let's do this comparison. It's going to say A.J. Dillon. It's A.J. Dillon. The matchup is not so great against the Saints for A.J. Dillon. The matchup's not that great for Christian Kirk against the Texans either, though. Man, the volume for Christian Kirk last week, though, he had 14 targets, 34% target share, 110 yards on 11 catches. Boom week for Christian Kirk. He didn't score a touchdown, which would have put him over 25 points, which actually is what we define as a boom week in the WalterPicks app. A.J. Dillon safer. A.J. Dillon safer. Christian Kirk has the higher ceiling. That's what Walter is agreeing with as well. I think Christian Kirk still over Dillon because of the ceiling, but it's close. Definitely pretty close. All right, let's get to some of these start-sit questions. Let's go through quarterbacks and tight ends really quickly. Because to me, quarterbacks and tight ends in fantasy in general, I like because I think because they're the onesie positions, kind of straightforward in general start-sit decisions with quarterbacks and tight ends. So quarterbacks, you're starting Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts every week no matter the matchups. This week, I got Kirk Cousins as my number 4 QB, then Tua, then Herbert, then Lamar. All 3 of those guys I really like. Kirk, Tua, Herbert, Lamar, all 4 of them I really like. Then I got T-Law against the Texans. Then Russ. I got Russ ahead of Dak, ahead of Goff, ahead of Deshaun, ahead of Justin Fields. I got Russ, Dak, Goff, and Watson all ahead of Fields. I feel really, really scared for Fields today. All right, Nico Collins, Michael Thomas, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell. Yeah, all these are pretty good options. I think I would go Zay Flowers and Nico Collins. I like Nico Collins more than Tank Dell. I'm playing Geno. Oh, God, Geno one spot behind Fields for me. I think Geno's a little bit safer than Fields this week. The Chiefs defense has been good. They allowed just 9 points to Trevor Lawrence last week. I'm changing this in the QB ranks. I'm going Geno over Fields. I think Geno, honestly, I'd probably going to put Fields at number 15. I play Geno and I'd play Jimmy G over Fields too this week. I'm nervous for Fields. I like the rushing, obviously, for fantasy, but the defensive line for the Chiefs is really good. James Cook or Michael Thomas with the injuries to the Packers secondary. I don't think you're that crazy to go Michael Thomas over James Cook, assuming this is a PPR league. Nico Collins or Jacoby Myers. Yeah, I like Jacoby more than Nico this week. I like Jacoby more than T. Higgins. I do not expect Joe Burrow to play. I like Pickens more than Tank Dell. I really like George Pickens. Guys, George Pickens, 34% target share in first game without Deontay Johnson last week. Addison, Kirk, Godwin, pick 2 PPR. It's Addison and Kirk. It's Addison and Kirk this week. Start Tank Dell over Jerome Ford. Yes, start Tank Dell over Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford's playing the number 1 defense against running backs. They've allowed 5 points per game to running backs this season. That's the Tennessee Titans. Jacoby Myers, not playing him over Amon-Ra St. Brown. No, I'm playing Stevenson over Swift pretty easily. Kyron Williams over Mixon for me too, pretty easily. I think A.J. Dillon over Godwin makes sense now with Aaron Jones out. Tough matchup for A.J. Dillon, but man, you got to think he can take advantage of one of these games without Aaron Jones. What's up, Sam? What's going on, Day? Chris Godwin, Nico Collins, or DJ Moore wide receivers. Which 2 running backs? Yeah, so I like Nico Collins, and Chris Godwin, then DJ Moore. I would go Nico, Godwin, DJ Moore. And then which two running backs? Rashad White, Javonte, Kendre Miller, Zach Moss. I like Javonte and Rashad White more than Kendre Miller and Zach Moss. Let me pull up I have the running back rankings up here actually right now. I like Javonte a lot against the Dolphins. They're clearly limiting Javonte's work in the early part of the season because of the knee injury he's coming off of. But he is in a good matchup this week against the Dolphins, who have been one of the worst defense against running backs and going to be a high-scoring game. Love the new enhancements on WalterPicks. Thanks, man. Yeah, we've been grinding to improve the WalterPicks app, and you can always expect us to be grinding to improve the WalterPicks app. And yeah, look at this new boom bust graph in the WalterPicks app. Absolute fire. The new trade analyzer, absolutely love it. The prop evaluator in the picks tab, absolutely fire. Love the improvements too. We're coming out with a My Team tool soon too, where you can compare all the projections and boom bust for your whole team in one place without comparing all of them. Excited to release that in the coming weeks also. All right. Flex start. Sanders, Madison, Olave, Addison, Pittman, Evans. Olave should be started here. I would rank these guys Olave, then Pittman, then Addison, then Evans, then Sanders. And I could pull them with wide receiver rankings here. But yeah, Olave's moving up these wide receiver rankings pretty fast with some of this reports about the Packers secondary. Let me refresh everybody on the news really quickly because there's been a lot of news to catch up on. First of all, Zay Jones, he's out. That's big for Christian Kirk. That is big for Evan Ingram, and it's big for Calvin Ridley too. Kareem Hunt is active this week, but I don't expect him or Jerome Ford to do much, and I think Jerome Ford dominates the touches in that backfield still. Logan Thomas, inactive, kind of big for Cole Turner there. Cordero Patterson, inactive again this week. That's good for Bijan, and it is good for Tyler Algier. We have Odell Beckham Jr., Justice Hill, both inactive this week. That's good for Zay Flowers and good for Rashad Bateman. I'd say Mark Andrews too. All right, let's get to this comment. Jerome Ford or James Conner. Don't feel good about either of them, but I lean James Conner. I am playing Kyle Pitts over Hunter Henry. The only tight ends I'm playing over Kyle Pitts this week is Travis Kelce, Andrews, Hawkinson, Goddard, Ingram. That's it. Then it's Kyle Pitts. The ceiling is high for Kyle Pitts against the Lions. I'm playing him in all of my tournament lineups this week on DraftKings and FanDuel. Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are both out. Huge for A.J. Dillon, who's going to see another big workload today for the Packers. Not a great matchup for him, but he's definitely in the conversation in a lot of start sits now. DeAndre Hopkins is active. He should be even healthier than he was last week. I feel better about him than I did last week where I had him as much bench. Why start Jacoby Myers? Because he had a 34% target share in week 1, and he's got a good matchup against the Steelers. Now that he's back off the concussion. Anthony Richardson is out this week. We're going to see Gardner Minshew for the Colts. That is really not such a terrible thing for Michael Pittman. And I am hopeful we see Anthony Richardson next week. Hate to see him out. He's looked great to start the season. And Gardner Minshew is really not in start category unless you're in a Superflex league and desperate. Jalen Waddle is out for the Dolphins this week. So is Salvin Ahmed, who's the backup running back. We're going to see Devon Achane, rookie running back for the Dolphins, who a lot of people were excited about during draft season. I still think the ceiling's high for Achane, but clearly this backfield is Raheem Mostert's. He's a good start this week. Cam Akers inactive for week 3 against the Chargers. Wheels up for Alexander Madison again this week. I do like Addison more than Pacheco, seeing that one in the TikTok live. David Montgomery's out this week. Huge for Jahmyr Gibbs. Huge for Jahmyr Gibbs. Craig Reynolds, too, is going to get more run than usual. But Jahmyr Gibbs, man, has to be started. PPR, Flex, Pacheco, Drake London, Romeo Dobbs. Yeah, Dobbs is in the conversation now. He's in the conversation now, again, with Christian Watson out. Jaded Reed, I actually think we have projected for a higher target share than Romeo Dobbs, which I would not have expected going into the season. But yeah, I think the answer here is between Pacheco and Drake London. I like Drake London in PPR, probably a little bit more than Pacheco. But I like Pacheco's floor a lot against the Bears. He is going to play. He was questionable too. But yeah, I lean Drake London over Pacheco in PPR. Half PPR, I think I would go Pacheco. Now in PPR, for sure, I'm going Pacheco. Zay, Cooper, or Pickens. Pick 2. Yeah, I like Zay Flowers a lot this week with Odell out. But I still think I like Amari Cooper and Pickens more. Jordan Love or Joe Burrow? Yeah, I'm benching Joe Burrow in all spots because I do not think he's going to play. Pacheco, Moss, Dell, London, Reed. Pacheco, Moss, Dell, London, Reed. Love the app. Thanks, man. Yeah, I think I would probably go Drake London over Dell and over Reed. It's definitely super close. In a full PPR league, I think I'm playing these receivers over the running backs, though. But yeah, I think let's actually do this comparison. Dell, London, and Reed. We're going to do this comparison live in the YouTube live. Guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, I'm also live on YouTube. Link to that is right in the TikTok bio. 2 presses your finger away. And on the YouTube live, you get my top 25 rankings, every single position. Actually, I have my top 35 receivers out because there's a lot of receivers in my top 25 rankings this week. And I can share my screen on the YouTube live too. It's just a little bit better of a viewing experience. Like we're about to look at the boom bust graphs here for Tank Dell, Drake London, and Jordan Reed. And I'm honestly very interested to see what this looks like. I have a feeling Jordan Reed might be higher than I expect, or Jaden Reed, sorry. And yeah, it's Drake London. Yeah, App agrees with me. I would go Drake London. Tank Dell's actually a little bit ahead of Jaden Reed. And yeah, Drake London has a slightly lower boom percentage just because the Falcons offense, I assume. But yeah, I think Drake London is the best to go with here. Definitely close ones here. And if we just look at the matchups here too, for these three guys, Drake London is the best matchup. That's really, I think, why Drake London's getting a slight edge here in this comparison. All right, by the way, again, best way you could support me, check out the WalterPicks app. Link to that is in the TikTok bio, in the YouTube description. It's going to help you with so many start-sit decisions over the course of the season for free trade analyzer, all the premium features to sync your league. You get a free 7-day trial with too. There's no reason to not try the WalterPicks app. You are actively hurting your chances to win your fantasy league. If you haven't checked out the WalterPicks app yet, it's free to download in the iOS and Android app store. Link in the YouTube description. Link in the TikTok bio. Hey, I downloaded WalterPicks. Let's go, man. That's what I'm talking about. I spent the last 3 years of my life, 3+ years of my life, basically every dollar I've ever had to my name has gone towards building the WalterPicks app. And that is still true today. And yeah, it's the best way you can support me. I really appreciate it. Seriously. Also, a 5-star review for the app. It takes you like 5 seconds to do. Also helps me a ton. Why should I bench Jerome Ford? Because Jerome Ford is playing the Tennessee Titans. And they are the number one defense against running backs for fantasy this year. They're allowing 4 fantasy points per game or 5 fantasy points per game to running back so far this season. So yeah, bench Jerome Ford. Terry McLaurin or Tank Dell? Yeah, Scary Terry versus the Bills feels like it should be the answer here, but it is actually pretty close. I would go Scary Terry. I would go Christian Kirk, though, over Terry McLaurin. Man, Christian Kirk's coming off a huge game, guys. 10 catches, 110 yards, 14 targets for Christian Kirk last week. And there's no Zay Jones this week. So yeah, huge for Christian Kirk. He's going to see a huge workload. Mostert, Kyron Williams, or ETN, Bijan, pick 3 full PPR. Yeah, we got some good running backs in here. Bijan, my number 3 running back this week. Start Bijan Robinson. ETN, I think, is in my top 5 running backs as well. And no, he's not in the. Yeah, he is. He's number 2. So you have my number 2 running back, my number 3 running back. This is the first question I've seen with ETN, but yeah, he gets the Texans, man. Worst run defense in the league over the last 3 years. They look like a bottom 10 run defense again this year. Start Travis Etienne. He's seen encouraging usage so far. Bijan has to be started. Kyron Williams also has to be started. I'd start Kyron Williams over Mostert. You got 3 top 10 running backs, in my opinion. Here, Puka Nacua or Amon-Ra St. Brown? God, this one is tough, man. Because Puka Nacua, you don't want to bench him. Like, anyone who's experienced Puka on the bench this season, it's painful. I've experienced it once. But yeah, you can't bench him. You can't bench Amon-Ra, even with the toe injury. I think you got to play Amon-Ra over Puka. Scary Terry or Madison? I think I'd lean Madison over Scary Terry. Javonte or Judy at flex? That one's close, man. I think Javonte's safer. Judy has a higher ceiling. Judy's the free player prop of the day. If we just, I feel like people have just forgotten a little bit about Judy, and it makes sense. He missed week 1. He had a bad week 2, but was week 2 really that bad? He played 67% of the snaps, still saw 19% target share. He was inefficient, only 25 yards, 3 catches. But we've seen Judy. Look at these games. These are the past games for Jerry Judy. This is from the Player Prop Evaluator in the WalterPicks app, which you can check out for free right now in the iOS and Android App Store. Anyways, this is him against the prop line that he's at this week, 49.5 receiving yards. You got to love Jerry Judy over 49.5 receiving yards. He's the free player prop of the day. We're 4-1 this year on the free player props. And yeah, he gets the Dolphins. High-scoring game, likely against the Dolphins. Judy is, to me, the clear top receiver for the Broncos. Start Judy this week, I think, with a decent amount of confidence. Kyle Pitts should be started over Sam Laporta and basically over all tight ends not named Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Goddard, or Ingram. That's it. Otherwise, start Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has an extremely high ceiling against the Detroit Lions, who allowed over 100 receiving yards to tight ends last week against the Seahawks. All right, let's get back to some of these start sits. I'm getting excited, guys. We are less than an hour. This live stream's flying today. I feel like I've had a lot of energy on this one because I went 2 coffees today. I feel like you guys can maybe feel that. 2 coffees over 1 coffee today, and it's been helping. We have not really slowed down since we started here. 2-2 versus Kendrick Bourne. Yeah, so Weatherman Sam. Let's pull up the Weatherman Sam report today because there's actually a important weather report today. This is the first weather report of the season that I think is like going to really impact the game. And it is the Patriots versus Jets. There's going to be sustained winds around 15 miles an hour and gusts over 25 miles an hour on top of rain throughout the game. This game was already going to be ugly. This game's already 2 of the better defenses in the league against 2 of the worst offenses in the league. But yeah, this game, do not start Kendrick Bourne. Do not start Devontae Parker either. I think both those guys are pretty risky given the weather in this game. I'm still okay starting Hunter Henry, but I would definitely start Pitts over him because Pitts has a way higher ceiling than Hunter Henry against the Lions, who allowed over 100 receiving yards to tight ends last week. And we've seen Kyle Pitts, guys, we've seen Kyle Pitts do things that we don't see tight ends do. We've seen Kyle Pitts go over 40% target shares. We've seen Kyle Pitts go over 200 air yards in a game. Hunter Henry does not have that in his range of outcomes, especially with this weather. Most tight ends really don't, outside the top 4, maybe. So yeah, start Kyle Pitts unless you have a top 5 tight end option. And be nervous about this Patriots weather for the passing game impacts. I still think Henry's fine, though, because he does run some of the shallower intermediate routes. I think Mondre's still fine. Mondre can be started. Henry can be started. Mondre should be started. Henry can be started and probably should be started in a lot of spots, too. And then on the other side of the ball, Garrett Wilson, I'm pretty nervous for him, man. I don't know if there's a single startable player on the Jets offense, honestly, this week. If there is, it's Garrett Wilson. But yeah, Garrett Wilson or James Cook. James Cook's safer, man. He's safer. And what's the real ceiling for Wilson today? The Pats are without 3 of their top 4 corners. I just don't know if it's going to matter much with the weather in this game and with Zach Wilson. So yeah, I'm okay benching Garrett Wilson for James Cook. Garrett Wilson, I think, is a decent bench this week. I'm playing Nakua over Olave. I don't feel super great benching Olave with Jair Alexander out, but I'm starting Puka over him. Hey, Sam, who do I start in full PPR? Chase, St. Brown, Olave, or Mike Williams? Yeah, so Jamar Chase has to be benched in this one. I don't like benching Jamar Chase. I still think Jamar Chase can be started in most spots this week, but not in this one. You're starting St. Brown. In this spot. It's not like a great matchup against the Falcons, but yeah, St. Brown needs to be started, even with the toe injury. He's playing. DeAndre Swift or Jerome Ford? Yeah, this one I'm going Swift over Jerome Ford. Bench Jerome Ford this week. He's playing the Titans. The Titans have been very, very good on the defensive line. They're allowing the least points per game to running backs so far this season in fantasy football. Start DeAndre Swift. Tough matchup for Swift too, but yeah, he's coming off a legacy game. Start Swift. Nico Collins or James Cook, PPR. Yeah, I like Nico, I think, a little bit more than James Cook in PPR. Tank Dell. Yeah, I like Tank Dell. Tank Dell or Lockett. I think I like Lockett a little bit more than Tank Dell. Tank Dell is, to me, like a good flex option. I play Tank Dell over Gabe Davis. I'm playing Tua over Lamar this week. Why sit Jerome Ford again? Because the Titans defense is really good. They're number 1 against running back so far in fantasy. Najee, I'm playing over Jaylen Warren in half PPR. I still think he's got a better chance at the touchdowns than Jaylen Warren. But yeah, it's close. I think they're back-to-back in our PPR rankings. But in half PPR and non-PPR, Najee's for sure better. I'm playing Goddard over Hunter Henry pretty easily. Craig Reynolds or A-Chain. This is a really interesting one. I think Craig Reynolds over A-Chain. I just don't know what the usage is going to look like for A-Chain. And I think Craig Reynolds is going to get minimum 10 carries in this one. Hey, Sam, hope you're having a good morning. Fantastic morning. It honestly feels like we are past morning. It's past noon here. We're in the afternoon. But it's been a great day nonetheless. A PPR flex, Kyron or Chase. It's got to be Kyron Williams. And man, it's week 3, guys. It's week 3. Rewind to 3 weeks ago. We're on a live stream talking through drafts. And someone says Kyron Williams to Jamar Chase. I might have kicked you out of the live stream for asking that 3 weeks ago. And here we are. It's like pretty clearly Kyron Williams over Jamar Chase this week. Man, pretty crazy. Hey, Walter, Fields or Goff? Don't worry about it. This is a classic mistake. My name is actually Sam. My name is Sam. Walter is the AI algorithm that powers the WalterPicks app that I helped build. Classic mistake. Do not worry about it. But also check out the WalterPicks app for Walter's insights too into your start sit decisions. It's a free app to download in the YouTube description, in the TikTok bio, or just look up WalterPicks on the Android or Apple app stores. Fields or Goff? Yeah, it's Goff. It's got to be Goff over Fields. I'm terrified for Justin Fields today. And I like the rushing for Fields. I am in on Justin Fields just in general for fantasy. I know a lot of people are just bailing completely on Fields. I'm not bailing completely, but this matchup is very, very bad for Justin Fields. The Kansas City Chiefs have been very good defensively this season. Their defensive line is looking top 5 in the league, maybe top 10, but definitely potentially top 5. Week 1, the Kansas City Chiefs hold Jared Goff to 14 points. Week 2, they held Trevor Lawrence to 9 points, and their defensive line is the strength of this defense. The Bears' offensive line is atrocious. So yeah, I'm terrified for Justin Fields. Definitely play Jared Goff over him. I have Justin Fields my number 15 QB this week, so there should be options out there that you can play over Justin Fields. All right, let's pull up the wide receiver rankings here again on the YouTube live. Again, a TikTok live. We're also live on YouTube. And the link to the YouTube live is right in the TikTok bio. And it's a better viewing experience. I can show you my top 25 rankings for every single position in the YouTube live, just scrolling at the bottom of the screen. It helps with so many of the start sits I can't get to. Plus, I can share my screen to game logs and comparisons as we talk about them. So come to the YouTube live. Link's right in the TikTok bio. I'll get you as many start sits on both lives. But if you're watching live on YouTube, guys, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button and hit the like button. I really do appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. Thank you for the gifts in the TikTok live. All right. Mahomes or Tua? Yeah, it's Mahomes. It's Mahomes over Tua. You're starting Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts, no matter what. no matter what, no matter the matchup, start those guys. Gabe Davis or Marquise Brown. I think I like Gabe Davis a little bit more than Marquise Brown this week. Yo, Sam, Kyron or Gibbs? I like both them a lot. I like Gibbs more than Kyron. I'm not benching Gibbs this week. Guys, Gibbs, let's do this comparison. I like both these guys. Let's pull these up on the YouTube live. Gibbs versus Kyron Williams. The boom probability, guys, in my eyes for Gibbs this week, he could easily be the number one running back. I say Kyron Williams probably has that in his range of outcomes too. Tony Pollard, I think, is RB1 just at base. But yeah, guys, Gibbs, look at this last week. Man, I just can't stop thinking about this target share for Gibbs. If we see anywhere near these target share numbers for Gibbs throughout the season, he's a top 10 running back in PPR leagues easily. He could easily be top 5. This week, I have him in my top 5. He had a 27% target share last week, 7 catches for Jahmyr Gibbs. He's going to have some huge receiving days if he sees work like this. And then on top of that, Dave Montgomery's out, and he could see 15 carries maybe this week. Like, realistically, he could see 12 to 15 carries. It wouldn't be that shocking. The Falcons' defense is pretty good. So that's one thing, kind of dampering my Jahmyr Gibbs excitement this week. And yeah, the matchup for Kyron Williams is better, but yeah, still Gibbs. The upside for Gibbs, I think, has to be started in all spots, basically. He's my number 4 running back this week. Okay. Chase or Addison? It's Addison versus Chase. It's Chase versus Addison. Let's pull up the wide receiver rankings here again. I've moved both those guys around a little bit in these rankings, and I have Addison 1 spot behind Jamar Chase. I have him 1 spot behind Jamar Chase. It is a close one, man. And God, Addison's ceiling is high, but yeah, I'm okay going Jamar Chase over Addison. I think Jamar Chase over Addison. Kyron Williams or Walker. I like both those guys a lot this week. Let me see where I have those guys. I think they're really, yeah, I have Kenneth Walker 1 spot ahead of Kyron Williams. I like Kenneth Walker. Is Puka playing? Yep, Puka's playing. He's questionable, but he's expected to play. We're benching Jerome Ford because the Titans defense is number 1 against running backs this season. Baker Mayfield or Joe Burrow or Jordan Love. Yeah, don't trust Joe Burrow. I don't think he's going to play. Even if he plays, he's limited. I'm benching Joe Burrow for sure. I probably would play Jordan Love over Baker Mayfield. I think Jordan Love over Baker. Jordan Love quietly has 6 touchdowns this season. Hey, Sam, pick 2. James Conner, Gus Edwards, Pacheco, full PPR. It's Pacheco. And then it's Gus versus James Conner. Let me pull up the running back rankings here again. God, Gus Edwards feels like a decent option over James Conner. James Conner I'm terrified for him against the Cowboys. But yeah, I still think you kind of have to go James Conner over Gus. Gus Edwards has a much better matchup, better projected game script against the Colts. They're big favorites. Let me pull up my picks against the spread here too on the YouTube Live. Another thing, get on the YouTube Live, if you come to the YouTube Live from TikTok, my picks against the spread today. It's Pitts over Laporta. I'm not playing 2 tight ends. So if you're asking me Josh Reynolds or Pitts, I'm okay going Josh Reynolds over Pitts. Mark Andrews or Hunter Henry, got to be Mark Andrews. The tight end, let's go through tight ends and QBs again super quick here because I'm seeing a bunch of QB tight end questions. I think QB tight end pretty straightforward. You're starting Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, no matter what. Shouldn't see questions with those guys. Kirk, Tua, then Herbert. That's how I rank those guys next. Kirk, Tua, then Herbert, then Lamar, then Trevor Lawrence, then Russell Wilson, and then Dak. That's my top 10 quarterbacks this week. It goes Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Kirk Cousins, Tua, Herbert, Lamar, Lawrence, Wilson, Dak. That's how I rank them. I really like Kirk, Tua, and Herbert, and Lamar this week in their matchups. But yeah, you're not benching Mahomes, Hurts, or Allen ever. And then at the tight end position, also pretty straightforward. Start Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews 1,000% of the time. Then TJ Hawkinson, also in all spots, unless you have those other 2 guys, needs to be started. Then Dallas Goedert, then Evan Ingram, then Kyle Pitts. It's those 5, then Kyle Pitts. Why should you start Jerry Jeudy? Because look at the last games for Jerry Jeudy. People forget, man, why Jeudy was getting picked so early. Jeudy, this is his last 7 games in receiving yards. And this line here, this is a player prop line. If you're watching live on TikTok, is over 49.5 receiving yards as a prop line. I love that prop line. Today, that's the free prop pick of the live stream. We're 4-1 on the free prop picks. Jeudy in a shootout game against the Dolphins. Yes, I like that. Pittman Jr. or Brian Robinson in the flex. Supposed to rain in the Colts game. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. There's going to be some moderate rain in some of the games today. Let's go through the Weatherman Sam update again super quickly. But I'm only worried about the Jets-Patriots game. That game is already going to be super, super ugly, but there's going to be wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. That is really, really bad for passing. And also rain in that game. The Colts game, yeah, maybe a tiny bit of rain. Let me pull this up. There is going to be some rain, some light winds, 5 to 10 miles an hour, and some rains, like drizzle. We're talking drizzling rain, like nothing heavy when it comes to rain for the Colts game. Should not impact anything. But there's going to be some rain, some small wind in some of these some of these other games, maybe even some rain showers in the Dolphins-Broncos game briefly, but nothing to be concerned about, nothing to change any of your decisions on. Other than the Pats-Jets game, I think it's enough to bench Garrett Wilson and definitely bench Kendrick Bourne and Devontae Parker too. Yeah, Garrett Wilson can really get a downgrade here from this wind gusts on top of Zach Wilson and the Pats defense just zeroing in on Garrett Wilson. Anyways, yeah, I think Garrett Wilson can be benched for sure. What are the best defenses today? The Patriots and the Jets, both looking like pretty good defenses. Also, really like the Chiefs' defense against the Bears today. That's another good one as well. Also, the Jaguars against the Texans. Those are probably my favorite defenses. Why Russell over Geno? Let's do this comparison in the WalterPicks app, and I think Walter's going to agree with me on this one. It's because, guys, Russ, like low-key, kind of having a good start to the fantasy season. I know that the Broncos are 0-2, but Geno has done worse than Russ this season. Kind of interesting here comparing the former Seahawks QB to the current QB. And yeah, Russ, bigger boom percentage by a lot compared to Geno. Carolina Panthers have been pretty good in the secondary. I know they're dealing with some injuries. So this projection's not close. And then on top of that, yeah, better matchup for Russ this week against the Dolphins. They've allowed more points per game to quarterbacks than the Panthers by a lot. And then on top of that, too, Russ has just been better this season. 21 points per game for Russ so far. I mean, pretty encouraging start, man, for Russell Wilson for fantasy perspective. And yeah, another, this is also, to be fair, like a little misleading for Russ just because he scored a lucky Hail Mary at the end of last game, which also lost me one of my weeks in fantasy. Absolutely brutal stuff, when it comes to that. But anyways, Russ still playing better than Geno for fantasy so far this season. I still think Geno probably better rest of season with the weapons he has. But yeah, this week's matchup is better for Russ. Russ has been better this season. Don't overthink it. Start Russ over Geno. Yep, that's why I'm going Russ over Geno. Swift or Gus Edwards, half PPR. I'm going Swift over Gus, the bus. All right. You worried about Zay Flowers because of weather? Nope, not worried about Zay Flowers because of weather. I'm not worried about the Colts-Ravens game, weather. I'm not really worried, honestly, about it at all. There's going to be 5 to 10 mile an hour winds and some light rain. That's it. The only weather game I'm concerned about is the Patriots game, which is going to have wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Yo, Sam, who do I start because of Burrow? Stafford, Goff, Stroud, or Russ? Yeah, it's Russ. I like Russ, I think, more. Yeah, I have Russ ranked ahead of Goff. I have Russ ranked ahead of Stroud. And Stafford this week. I think Russ against the Dolphins is solid. Start Tutu Atwell. Right now I'm starting DK, Nico Collins, and Jacoby Myers over AJ Dillon. Right choice. Yeah, Tutu Atwell is good in general, but I like DK, Nico, and Jacoby Myers more than him. And then Jacoby Myers over AJ Dillon is fine in PPR. I'm cool with that. Collins or Myers? Oh gosh, yeah, I think I got Myers over Collins. I think I would take Jacoby Myers over Nico Collins. Jacoby Myers looked really good week 1, guys. Garrett Wilson or Pickens? I'm going Pickens over Garrett Wilson. Should I start Garrett Wilson or DJ Moore? That one's pretty close, man. I think DJ Moore over Garrett Wilson is fine. I think it's fine. I don't feel great about it. I play Judy over Drake London. I would not play Tutu Atwell over Jordan Addison. Be very careful benching Jordan Addison today, guys. This is going to be a huge, huge high-scoring game between the Vikings and the Chargers. Dak or Tua? Yeah, I go Tua over Dak pretty easily. Again, guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube Live. Links are in the TikTok bio. You can get my top 25 rankings every position on the YouTube Live for free right now. If you come to the YouTube Live, YouTube presses your finger away. Calvin Ridley or AJ Brown? Or Tank. Yeah, you got to play Ridley, AJ Brown. I play AJ Brown over Ridley. I'd play Ridley over Tank pretty easily. That's how I would do it. Ridley looking good this week with no Zay Jones. I need help. Romeo Dobbs, Tank Dell, or Gabe Davis. Yeah, it's between the first two for me. We just haven't seen enough, honestly, from Romeo Dobbs with Christian Watson out all these games. I know Dobbs was kind of coming back from an injury himself, but yeah, I'd go Tank Dell over Romeo Dobbs and over Gabe Davis this week. Gabe Davis is close, honestly, over Tank Dell too, but I think Tank Dell is in a good spot after his 10 targets last week. Josh Kelly or Brian Robinson? Josh Kelly over Brian Robinson pretty easily. Hunter Henry or Josh Reynolds? I don't want to start 2 tight ends, man. I don't want to do it. Start Josh Reynolds. Will Puka play tomorrow? Yes, Puka is expected to play tomorrow. James Conner, Swift, Brian Robinson. Who to start and who to bench? James Conner, Swift, Brian Robinson. Yeah, it's Brian Robinson. I'd start Brian Robinson over James Conner and over Swift. I'm nervous for Swift. With Kenneth Gainwell back, Kenneth Gainwell dominated the touches and snaps in week 1. I think it's going to be close to a split timeshare with Kenneth Gainwell back. And not a good matchup either against the Bucs. The Bucs front 7, their defensive line is really, really strong. Bucs are pass funnel defense. The Eagles are a pass funnel defense. Another pass funnel defense, the Tennessee Titans. That's why I like Elijah Moore this week and Amari Cooper this week, and I do not like Jerome Ford. Yo, Sam, Gabe Davis or T. Higgins, full PPR. Man, it is tough to trust T. Higgins without expecting Joe Burrow to play. I'm okay going Gabe Davis over T. Higgins. Help me. Start 2, sit 1. Judy, Jacoby, DK. Yeah, I think you bench Judy in this one. And I like Judy over 49.5 receiving yards, but I don't like him more than Jacoby or DK Metcalf. Hey, Sam, pick 2, Olave, Addison, or Pittman. Oh, God, yeah. I want to start all 3 of these receivers really, really badly, but I think you got to go Olave and Pittman over Addison. Even with the good matchup for Addison, Pittman and Olave they're just safer, similar upside guys. I got them both in my top 16. Start Pittman, start Olave. Hey, Sam, Derrick Henry or Kyren Williams? Man, it's Kyren. It's Kyren Williams over Derrick Henry. It just feels weird coming out of my mouth. Like, it just feels wrong. I have just a bad taste now in my mouth. But yeah, it's Kyren Williams over Derrick Henry. Like, when we were updating the rest of season rankings for running backs this week, and I saw how high Kyren Williams was, there's nothing we could do to get Kyren Williams down in the rankings. He played 99% of the snaps last week. He had 10 targets. Pick 1 running back, 1 flex, Stevenson, Pickens, Miles Sanders, Judy, MT, full PPR. Yeah, it's Pickens. I think over Judy and MT this week, and I think Stevenson over Miles Sanders. All right. Please just got the app. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Yeah, the best way you guys could possibly support me. It's honestly not close. First of all, the easiest thing, the quickest thing to support me that you guys can all do instantly right now is hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. Watching live on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It takes you 2 seconds. Helps me out a ton. The other thing you can do, the biggest thing you can do, is download the WalterPicks app for free in the iOS and Android app store. Link is in the YouTube description. Link is in the TikTok bio. It's going to help you with so many of your fantasy decisions. I can't possibly get to all the start sits. I try to get to as many as I can, but the WalterPicks app can. It can get to every single start sit, custom to your league settings, and you can sync your fantasy league for your custom insights during the season too with a 7-day free trial in the WalterPicks app. All right, Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed, or Tyler Algier, pick 2 full PPR. I'm kind of nervous for Tyler Algier too. I would definitely start Jaden Reed here, and I think Garrett Wilson over Algier in full PPR too, even with the weather in that game. And Brian Robinson isn't in your top 25. How come? Yeah, let's compare Brian Robinson here on the YouTube live. I think matchup not too great for B-Rob. Let me see if that's actually true. Let's compare Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson here. And yeah, they're playing the Bills. Yeah, 13th against running backs. Not too great. I also just think the Bills, they're going to be playing from behind in this game. To me, it shapes up a little bit better as an Antonio Gibson game than B-Rob game. I know B-Rob has run a little bit more routes than he usually does so far this season, but still, he only has 5 targets this year, only 3 catches. He did score 2 touchdowns last week, but yeah, much tougher matchup just in general for B-Rob this week than last week. B-Rob was the number 1 running back in fantasy last week. All right, Najee or Jerome Ford. Got to be Najee Harris over Jerome Ford. Guys, Jerome Ford is playing the number 1 defense against running backs this season. And it's like a little too early to just like assume, if you're 2 games in and you're number 1 against running backs, you'll just be number 1 against running backs this season. It's still a small sample size. But guys, the Tennessee Titans defensive line is the real deal. They are a pass funnel defense. The defensive line is really, really good. The secondary is not very good. Bottom 10 secondary, top 5 defensive line, in my opinion, for the Tennessee Titans. That's why you have to bench Jerome Ford. Even though I think the usage will be good for Jerome Ford, I'm playing Najee Harris over him. He gets the Raiders. They've been dead last against running backs this season. Hey, Sam. Trevor Lawrence or Kirk Cousins? Yeah, it's got to be Kirk Cousins. Got to be Kirk Cousins. I got my top 15 QBs up on the YouTube live right now. Again, links in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on YouTube. But Kirk Cousins over Trevor Lawrence pretty easily, in my opinion. Kirk is my number 4 quarterback after the top 3 guys that should be started no matter the matchups every week. That's Mahomes. That's Jalen Hurts. That's Josh Allen. That is Kirk, man. This week, Kirk. Kirk is balling this season. 2 straight games over 340 passing yards for Kirk Cousins. And now he gets the Chargers, who were destroyed in the passing game in week 1 and didn't do so great in the passing game in week 2 either. At home in the Dome for the Vikings. Fire up Kirk Cousins, I think, with a ton of confidence today. James Conner, I'm nervous about. Yeah, he plays the Cowboys. They've been really good against running backs. Puka Nacua is expected to play and should be started in a lot of situations. Okay. Jaden Reed or Dotson? I think Reed over Dotson is fine. I'm playing Pitts over Hunter Henry. I really like the ceiling for Pitts today against the Lions. They've not been good against tight ends this season. Pick 2, Nico Collins, James Cook, and Raheem Mostert. Yeah, PPR, you got to start Nico, and I think Raheem Mostert over James Cook as well. Kendra Miller, A-Chain, Hubbard, Craig Reynolds, Roshan Johnson, or Zeke, full PPR. Yeah, this one's close. This one's tough. I think Kendra Miller's okay as a dart throw in this one. I don't feel great about Zeke. I don't want to start A-Chain. Craig Reynolds is also okay here. If Roshan Johnson is okay also. I think I'd go Kendra Miller, though, over these guys. I really think Roshan Johnson, though, should be rostered in all leagues. Josh Kelly or Miles Sanders, I like Josh Kelly more. Ridley over Pickens. I think Kelly versus Mostert, I might have even swapped during this live stream. Yeah, I did. It's Mostert over Kelly. It's close. I have them back-to-back in my rankings, which, again, you can see for free on the YouTube Live. Links right in the TikTok bio. 2-2 or Javonte. I like Javonte more than 2-2 this week. A little coffee on the mouth here. We are 30 minutes from kickoff. Guys, it's the witching hour, as I like to call it. I know if you watch Red Zone, the witching hour is in the fourth quarter of the 1 o'clock games. But the real witching hour when it comes to fantasy is these last 30 minutes to lock in your start-sit decisions. This is where wins become losses and losses become wins in fantasy football. Will you get your start-sit decisions right? Will you make the optimal choice? And guys, sometimes the optimal process leads to the wrong results. But I can at least sleep with knowing I did the right thing than getting things, I focus on the process more than results. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, yeah, Kendra Miller. All right, let's get to some of these starts. It's rapid fire now. We got the last 30 minutes of this live. Moss or Chris Godwin. Oh, God, this one's close. If this is PPR, I think Godwin. If it's not PPR, I'd go Zach Moss. Is Najee starting over Warren tonight? I think Najee Harris will start over Jalen Warren. I think Najee Harris will get more carries than Jalen Warren. Najee Harris is averaging more yards per carry than Jalen Warren, guys. I feel like people are thinking that's not the case. That is absolutely the case. Let me compare these two guys again here on the YouTube live. But yeah, it's Najee over Jalen Warren. It's close. I think they're back-to-back in the rankings in the app and back-to-back and close in my rankings too. But to me, still Najee the better bet at the goal line carries. There's a good matchup for both of them. The Raiders have been, I think, dead last or close to dead last. Bottom 4 against running backs this season. But yeah, Najee Harris, look at this. Yards per carry, if we scroll down here and look at some of these rushing stats, the yards per carry, 4.6 yards per carry for Najee and 2.9 yards per carry for Jalen Warren. Stroud or Love? God, I think I like Love a little bit more than Stroud. I'm playing Jacoby Myers over T. Higgins. I'm playing Jacoby Myers over Zay Flowers. I'm playing DJ Moore, I think, over Brees. Brees is such a tough one. He's going to get more than 4 carries this week, and the Jets have to be run heavy in this game. Hunt, Gainwell, or Pierce? I like Gainwell, then Pierce, then Hunt. I don't like Hunt or Pierce, though, in general, like at all. Geno Smith or Trevor Lawrence? I go T-Law over Geno. Gabe Davis or Swift? I like Gabe Davis more than Swift. Why bench Dameon Pierce? Because we've been benching him every week, and we've been right every single week. It is not a good matchup. It's not a good offensive line for Dameon Pierce. Happy PR. Brian, thank you for being a subscriber. If you subscribe to the TikTok lives, I will get to your comments 100% of the time that I see them. Kendra Miller, Chuba Hubbard, Craig Reynolds. Yeah, this one's tough, man. This one's tough. I maybe just answered a similar question on the YouTube live too. I think it's Kendra Miller over Craig Reynolds and Chuba Hubbard. I would play Craig Reynolds next. I think it's close. Craig Reynolds may be a slightly safer floor, but yeah, I go Kendra, then Craig. I think Craig Reynolds gets around 10 to 15 carries today in the David Montgomery role, splitting with Jahmyr Gibbs. But yeah, I don't feel great about Craig Reynolds in general. Pickens or DJ Moore? It's Pickens. It's got to be Pickens. 34% target share for Pickens last week without Deontay Johnson. Start George Pickens. Why Ramondre? Ramondre Stevenson is up against the Jets in a game that's going to be windy and rainy, and they're going to have to run a lot. Ramondre is going to see 15 to 20 touches. He also should still catch some passes around the line of scrimmage. I think Ramondre is still a pretty good bet in fantasy. Sanders or Judy, flex, PPR. I'm going Judy over Sanders, man. And Jerry Judy is the free player prop pick of the day. Check this out. This is from the player prop evaluator in the WalterPicks app. If you were watching live on TikTok, Judy's gone over 49.5 receiving yards in 7 of his last 10 games. By the way, you can check this out for free in the WalterPicks app. The prop evaluator in the picks tab is free with a 7-day free trial. But yeah, Judy over 49.5 receiving yards. Lock that in. And yeah, I'm starting Judy over Miles Sanders as well. Thank you. Shout out to everyone in TikTok live for the gifts. Pitts or Evan Ingram? Yeah, so I'm in. I'm big time in on Kyle Pitts this week, but not enough in that I'm starting him over Evan Ingram. I'm starting Evan Ingram over him. Let me put the tight end rankings here again on the YouTube live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, YouTube live, get my top 25 rankings every position. It's free. It's right in the TikTok bio. You're like 2 presses of your finger away from the YouTube live. But yeah, I have my rankings up for tight ends up in the YouTube live. There's 5 tight ends I'm starting over Kyle Pitts today. That's it. Evan Ingram is one of them. The other 4, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert. That's it. Kelce, Hawkinson, Andrews, Goddard, Ingram. Then Pitts. Then it's Pitts. The ceiling is high for Pitts, man, against the Lions. The Lions allowed over 100 receiving yards to tight ends last week. Hey, Sam, hope you are doing well. CJ, I hope you're doing great too, man. I'm doing great. We got football on our TV screens in less than a half hour. I'm pumped, man. It's a great day to be great. All right, pick 2, full PPR. Mike Thomas, Puka Nacua, Drake London, or Jacoby Myers. It's Puka. You got to start Puka and Jacoby here over Mike Thomas. Josh Reynolds or DK Metcalf? I'm going DK Metcalf with the rib injury over Josh Reynolds. Start 1, Ford, Gus, Algier. It's Gus. I think Gus over Ford for sure. Oh, God, for sure is actually a stretch. I actually think I don't even have Gus here in the top 25. He's in a good spot. Oh, God, I'm changing this up. I know we're towards the end of the live here, but I think I'd play Brees over Jerome Ford. Yeah, I'm moving This is at number 27 for me now. And sorry, number 26. And Jerome Ford's down at number 27. Again, Jerome Ford is playing the number one defense against running backs this season. They rank number one in points allowed to running backs in fantasy. Let me pull the running backs. So yeah, I like Gus Edwards better than Jerome Ford, even though I think Jerome Ford's going to get a better usage. And usually I like to chase the usage unless it's in a really tough matchup. Hey Sam, hope you're doing well. Thanks. I already got to this one. Hope you're doing well too, though. Start three: PPR, AJ Dillon, Zach Moss, Javonte Williams, or Tutus. Yeah, so we're just going to bench one. I think that's the faster route to answering this question. And the answer here: you're benching Tutu or you're benching Zach Moss. I think Tutu is an okay bench. Thanks again, Sam, for the weekly rundown. White, James Cook, or Pacheco in PPR leagues. Oh, man, I think it's Rachaad White. Yeah, I have Rachaad White at 18 here. And I have Pacheco, I think, a little bit later than that. James Cook, a little bit later than that, too. Is Pacheco ahead of that? Where's Pacheco? Let's see. Pacheco is down. Pacheco's at 15. I'm okay going Pacheco over Rachaad White. It's a good matchup for. Let's do this comparison too on the YouTube live again. TikTok live. I'm telling you, YouTube live is a better viewing experience. I'm not just saying this to try to get you to the YouTube channel. Like, it's just better. Like, I want you to have the best viewing experience in the live, and YouTube is where that is. And the link is right in the TikTok bio to get there. YouTube presses your finger away, and we're going to compare right now on the screen Rachaad White, and we're going to compare Isaiah Pacheco. And I have a feeling in PPR, Walter's going to like Rachaad White more, and that is the case. So Walter disagrees with me on this one, but look at the matchups, guys. This is why I'm going Rachaad White. I'm benching Rachaad White for Isaiah Pacheco. The Bears are the third worst defense against running backs this season. The Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites in this game. Pacheco saw 12 carries last week. I think he gets at least that this week and should score a touchdown in this one too against the Bears. Huge favorites. This is a good spot for Isaiah Pacheco. I don't feel great. The usage for Rachaad White has been better. Rachaad White really hasn't come off the field. 70% snap share at least each game. He scored a touchdown last week. He's running routes. He's getting targets, way more targets than Isaiah Pacheco. But yeah, he played the Bears last week. He had 21 points. Pacheco plays the Bears this week. He could easily have 21 points too. So yeah, I'm going Pacheco over Rachaad White. I'm going Pacheco over James Cook. Pickens or Thomas? I like Pickens more than Thomas. Keenan or AJ? God, you got to start both those guys. But I have Keenan Allen ranked ahead of AJ Brown this week. Keenan's my number 4 wide receiver this week. Start Keenan Allen. Thank you for the gift in the TikTok live. Pacheco or Edwards? Yeah, I go Pacheco over Edwards. All right, we're going to go game by game here, and I'm going to get to all the guys in all these games pretty quickly. All right, so first of all, the Falcons. They played the Detroit Lions this week. The Falcons, 3-point underdogs in this one. We got Bijan Robinson versus Jahmyr Gibbs, both top 5 running backs for me this week. Start both of them in all formats. You got to start Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. You got to start Amon-Ra St. Brown despite the toe injury. Josh Reynolds, not a terrible option. He's been balling too with Jameson Williams suspended. On the Falcons side of the ball, start Kyle Pitts unless you have a top 5 tight end. That ends at Evan Ingram. T. Higgins or Nico Collins? Yeah, I'm going Nico Collins over T. Higgins today. All right, Olave versus Addison. Yeah, it's got to be Olave for me over Jordan Addison. On to the next game. The Buffalo Bills playing the Washington Commanders. I'm not feeling too great about Brian Robinson today. He was the number 1 running back last week, but not a great game script for him. Bills defense is better than the defense he played last week. Start James Cook, but don't expect too many touchdowns from him. I think his floor is good. Ceiling is a little bit capped from the touchdowns. Usage has been good for James Cook, over 100 yards last week on the ground. He had 4 catches each of the first 2 games. Obviously, you're starting Steph Diggs. Gabe Davis is okay, not great. Okay, though, this week. In general, you start Josh Allen. Terry McLaurin, I like more than Dotson this week, but I don't think either of them need to be forced into starting lineups. The Denver Broncos, 5.5-point underdogs against the Miami Dolphins. I really like Russell Wilson in this one as a sleeper quarterback. He's my number 9 quarterback this week, but man, I love Tua a lot more. Tua is my number 5 QB this week, even without Jalen Waddle. Tua can absolutely torch this Broncos secondary. There's going to be maybe some rain showers during this game, but not going to be throughout the entire game. They're probably going to be pretty fast. The Florida rain showers, they come and go extremely quickly. It's very common in Florida. Tua is going to ball no matter what, even without Jalen Waddle, because he has Tyreek Hill. Start Tyreek Hill. I think Hill versus Jefferson, really live debate for who should be number 1 rest of the season and number 1 this week in the rankings. I went Justin Jefferson this week, Tyreek rest of season. But man, both guys are probably going to go over 150 receiving yards today. Raheem Mostert, great start here too. I like Judy in this game too. Over 49.5 receiving yards is the free player prop of the day. He's done that in 7 of his last 10, and he only played 67% of the snaps last week. That should go up. I expect him over a 20% target share this week, which he did 91% of his games last season. His healthy games, at least. I also like Javonte Williams in this one as a pretty good running back option against the Dolphins. Overall, think this game could be a pretty big shootout. That's why I have in my DraftKings lineup both Javonte Williams in there. I actually don't have any Dolphins players, which I don't feel great about. I think in tournaments, though, on DraftKings and FanDuel, you need Jefferson or Tyreek this week. All right, moving on to the next game. We got the Jaguars, 7.5-point favorites against the Texans. Fire up Travis Etienne. He's my number 2 running back this week. Calvin Ridley without Zay Jones. Fire him up with a ton of confidence. Christian Kirk, too, without Zay Jones, is definitely in a good spot. Same thing with Evan Ingram. Start all those guys. And then for the Texans, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, only guys I want to start on the Texans today. We'll get to some Tank Dell questions. Tank Dell versus Scary Terry's close. It's close. I think I probably lean Scary Terry. Did I even have Scary Terry in these top 36? He must be here. Yeah, he is. I've Terry 2 spots ahead of Tank Dell. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here again on the YouTube live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live to get my top 36 wide receivers on the bottom of the screen for free right now. Two clicks away from the YouTube live. All right, moving on to the next game. I think I covered all the main things in that Jaguars-Texans game. Don't start Dameon Pierce against the Jaguars defensive line in a game where the offensive line still starting practice squad level players, and they are 7.5-point underdogs. Not good for Dameon Pierce. Ravens, 8-point favorites. Pretty good for Gus Edwards. There's no Odell Beckham Jr. for the Ravens today. Mark Andrews, number 2 tight end, has to be started everywhere. Really feeling good about his ceiling and floor today. Zay Flowers is a really good start this week too. And Rashad Bateman also gets a little bit of a bump with Odell out. On the other side of the ball in that Ravens-Colts game, I like Michael Pittman Jr. on the Colts. Zach Moss can be started in a lot of spots too. He did not come off the field for the Colts last week. But Pittman Jr. is really the only guy I feel good about for the Colts. The Chargers, 1-point underdogs in Minnesota, in the Dome against the Vikings. Definitely the most exciting game of the week. The Chargers, I'm taking +1 in this one. But yeah, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Kelly. I like all of them a lot in this game. I also really like the other side of the ball in this game. Justin Jefferson, my number 1 receiver. He's going to go over 150 yards for the 3rd straight game and make history when he does that. He's also probably going to score a touchdown for the first time this season in this game. He's in my DraftKings lineup for that reason. I'm paying up for Justin Jefferson this week. Also, though, Jordan Addison, good start this week against the Chargers defense. Their secondary has been atrocious this season. They got torched by Tyreek Hill in week 1. I also think Alexander Madison is a decent start this week. The Patriots, 3-point favorites against the Jets. Must-win game for the Pats. The whole season is on the line for the Patriots in this game. They're playing Zach Wilson in the wind, in the rain. They're missing 3 of their 4 starting corners, but no excuses for the Pats in this one. No excuses for Bill Belichick. Guys, I'm telling you, if the Pats lose this one, and I really don't think they will, but if they do, there's going to be some murmurs about Bill and how much longer he has on the Pats, and that's not going to be good for Pats. Whenever Bill Belichick leaves, they're complete toast, I think. So, yeah, I'm nervous for the Pats, man. This feels like a do-or-die game for them, and the Pats offense could struggle against the Jets defense. All right, Saints. For the Pats, I'm starting Ramondre for sure in most spots, even with the wind and the rain. I think he can do well. Hunter Henry's okay still with the wind and the rain. This is the only game I'm nervous about the weather because there's going to be wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Do not start Kendrick Bourne. Do not start Devontae Parker. Do not start Garrett Wilson if you can. I think Garrett Wilson's better than obviously all those other Pats receivers. I think he can be started still, but with Zach Wilson starting in a rainy, windy game against the Pats defense and Bill Belichick, yeah, no thanks to Garrett Wilson if I don't need to start him. And I would start Tank Dell, for example, over Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall, he's a real boom bust option. He only had 4 carries last week. I do think he gets more involved, though, this week. All right. Pats defense, probably my favorite defense this week. Saints, they're 1-point underdogs. The New Orleans Saints, 1-point underdogs against the Packers. No Christian Watson, no Aaron Jones for the Packers. Start A.J. Dillon. Again, workload should be there. Hopefully the efficiency improves for A.J. Dillon. Kind of a tough matchup for him, but usage-wise, he can be started over Breece Hall, over Tyler Algier. I would play Najee over Breece Hall and Tyler Algier, seeing that one in the TikTok live. Okay, with the Saints, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, shaping up pretty good. No Jair Alexander for the Packers in the secondary today. Their secondary has been good. They also haven't played, though, this good of a receiving core. They played the Falcons and the Bears. That's who the Packers have played. The Falcons and the Bears, 2 of the worst receiving rooms in the league. Now they play Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. I like the Saints +1 a lot in this game. Browns, -3. I like the passing attack for the Browns today. Deshaun, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper. The Titans are a really good run defense. They are a pass funnel defense. They are number 1 against running backs this season against the Titans defense is number 1 against running backs this season. That's why you have to bench Jerome Ford. No defense has let up less points against running backs than the Titans. Their defensive line is legit. I like the usage for Jerome Ford today. Don't really expect much production from him unless it comes through the receiving game. On the other side of the ball in that Browns Titans game, Derrick Henry, yep, start him. I feel weird saying Kyron Williams should be started over him, but it's true. But yeah, still, Derrick Henry can be started. DeAndre Hopkins, I like him a lot more than last week where I had him as must bench because of his ankle injury. He's probably a decent amount healthier than he was last game. He's still dealing with an ankle injury, but I think he can be started against the Browns. I don't love Treylon Burks or really anyone else in that game. Seahawks, -4.5. The Seattle Seahawks are in a interesting one against the Panthers. I think Lockett, Metcalf, JSN expect at least one huge game out of one of those guys every single week. It's going to be tough to know which guy it's going to be. I think I have Lockett one spot ahead of Metcalf this week just because of the rib injury. The Panthers, Sanders can be started. No one else can really be started on the Panthers. Chiefs, -12.5 against the Bears. I am scared for Justin Fields today, guys. Justin Fields, the Bears do not match up well against the Chiefs. The Bears have a bad offensive line. The Chiefs have a good defensive line. I'm benching Fields wherever possible. He's my number 15 QB this week. Let me pull up the QB rankings again on the YouTube live. Also, in that game for the Chiefs, start Isaiah Pacheco. Bears have been bottom 5 against running backs this season. Pacheco was questionable, but he's going to play. He had 12 carries last week for 70 yards. I think he goes over both those numbers this week against the Bears. On the Bears side of the ball, the only guy you can really be considering starting is DJ Moore, and even him I'm a little bit nervous about, but yeah, he can be started, and we did call his bounce back last week. Cowboys, they're 13-point favorites against the Cardinals. Tony Pollard is running back 1 this week against the Cardinals. Dak can be started. He's got a decent upside against the Cardinals defense. Daniel Jones balled out against the Cardinals last week. I also think CeeDee Lamb must start. I'm also intrigued about Brandon Cooks. He seems like a guy getting overlooked because he missed last week. But guys, week 1, Brandon Cooks looked great. So I'm feeling decent about Brandon Cooks today against the Cardinals too. And then Jake Ferguson, okay, option against the Cardinals. Cardinals historically been really bad against tight ends. On the Cardinals side of the ball, I'm nervous for James Conner. Do not want to start him this week. Zay Flowers can be started for sure. I've seen that in the TikTok live. Moving on to the next game, the Steelers +2.5. I like them 2.5-point underdogs against the Steelers are up against the Las Vegas Raiders today. I think they'd beat the Raiders. I'm pretty surprised that they were underdogs in this game. I like Najee Harris this week against the Raiders. I think he can be started in a lot of spots. I like George Pickens a lot, probably the most of all guys on the Steelers. A.J. Dillon's not a must bench anymore because I wrote this before Aaron Jones was ruled out. A.J. Dillon is not a must bench anymore. All right, start Tank Dell or Drake London. Yeah, this one's close, man. I think it's Drake London. Better matchup for him than Tank Dell has. But yeah, it's super close. Drake London, definitely a boom bust option. But yeah, I'm going Drake London over Tank Dell. Start 1, sit 2. Algier 4, Dalvin. Yeah, I kind of think you have to bench Dalvin. I'd bench Dalvin. I want nothing to do with Dalvin Cook this week, even though I'm scared about some of those other guys too. Nico Collins, Drake London. I like Nico more than Drake London. Najee or Brees with the news that Warren is going to have a bigger role. It's still Najee over Brees. I still think Najee gets more carries than Jalen Warren. I do. And I think this is a good matchup for Najee to bounce back. Sam, should I buy low to get Josh Jacobs or is he not worth it? Yeah, buy low if you can, for sure. Josh Jacobs is worth it. His usage has been super elite. We saw him be really good last year. And yeah, the usage is so high for Josh Jacobs that, yeah, he's a top 10 running back for the rest of the season. And I'm not that scared about Josh Jacobs. Alexander Madison or DJ Moore for a flex spot? Yeah, I like Alexander Madison more this week than DJ Moore. James Conner or Jerome Ford. Oh, God, I don't like either of these guys, but I think I would lean towards James Conner over Jerome Ford. Again, we're benching Jerome Ford because the Titans defense is number 1 against running backs so far this season. Guys, what a live stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You can get all your start sit questions answered in the WalterPicks app. You got 10 minutes still here to make the right start sit decisions. Go download the WalterPicks app. It'll take you 2 seconds, 1 minute probably, to get from you've never downloaded the WalterPicks app before to inside the start sit tool in the WalterPicks app for free to do some of these start sit comparisons that I'm not going to be able to get to at the end of this live. You can find the WalterPicks app in the TikTok bio and in the YouTube description. It's by far the best way you can help me out is just checking out the app. Happy Kyle Pitts week, guys. Happy Jahmyr Gibbs week. Really exciting upside for both those guys this week. Again, the only tight ends I'm starting over Pitts this week. It is Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Goddard, and Evan Ingram. That's it. I think I do like Judy versus Pacheco and PPR. I think I'd lean Judy. Otherwise, I'd probably go Pacheco. Yeah, you can definitely start Jamar Chase still. I still have Jamar Chase ranked, I think, as my number 18 or 19 wide receiver. He should be started in still most spots. I like Addison more than DJ Moore for sure. Guys, time is the most valuable thing we have. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I'll be back live Thursday night. Good luck, everyone. Have a fantastic Sunday. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're on the YouTube channel and hit the follow button if you're watching live on TikTok. Have a great day. Thank you, everybody.